Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Independent Trucker Show right here at the Truckers Independent Broadcasting Network. With your host, Sean Mitchell, John Grosvenor, and we got the lovely Miss TJ with us. How you guys doing?
Hey, we're doing pretty good tonight. I'm just sad.
I'm going through Oklahoma City tonight, John.
You look like you're sitting in the back of your truck to me. You sure you're going through Oklahoma City?
His dog is driving.
That's such a
I'm trying out the autonomous thing. It ain't working out too good.
I think he has his
Now
dog.
now I know how Starsky felt.
Yeah, right. Starsky was the autonomous trucking company or manufacturer that went out of business, bankrupted themselves trying too hard. So we were supposed to have a guest, Brian Von D, come on. We're hoping he comes in here real soon. He had some things he wanted to talk about. We didn't get into details about what he wanted to talk about. He just said that he was the he worked with the organization of the Freedom Convoy in Canada, and he helped start the Freedom Convoy here in the United States, which I think turned into the People's Convoy. I'm not sure if that's the same organization or a different organization, but hopefully he'll come in here soon. So in the meantime, I guess we'll just shoot off the hip until we see him arrive. Sean, what are your thoughts on the People's Convoy, what's been going on and such?
The positive side I have to this is I have to give them credit for the way they policed themselves last night. Apparently BLM and Antifa showed up, and the driver we all know, Leland Schmidt, he decided he wasn't going to have a part of that, and I have to give him credit on that. They're saying this is a people's convoy. This is for everyone. So for once, it's not I, me, chest bump, quoting Leland Schmidt. The downside I see to this is, and this is what I feel is important, is sooner or later you're going to have to specify what you're going to Washington for, just for government mandates and government control.
So what do you think they should
that has not actually come out yet. If you go back and you look how Mike Farnham ran Black and Blue, he was very specific in what he said, what as drivers wanted. So far, all they're going is on the vaccine mandates that I'm hearing about, and they want their freedoms. Well, that's all good and fine, but you're going to, sooner or later, it's going to have to be specified exactly what you want. And they haven't yet to do that. That might be actually,
I think it's a secret.
Something in favor.
Well, what do you think they should put in there? I mean, we already know that they want the vaccine mandates dismissed. I feel the need to add in here. A lot of people are confused as they're listening to what's going on and following them some. What I got from them is they want to, on a federal level, they want to have the mandates revoked. And a lot of people are saying, and you're seeing this in the magazines too, they're saying, well, it's foolishness because it's on a state level. It's not
Yes.
on a federal level.
Yeah.
And that it's already happening. We already know February 1st, it was announced that governors have told the president, said, we're done. We're fed up with it. We're done with it. We're not dealing with this horse crap anymore. We want an exit strategy. We want out of it. Okay, so that's well and fine. So we know the states now are changed their tune. They're going in a new direction. We're seeing restrictions lifted. It's awesome. On a federal level, what a lot of people don't understand, there are 2 executive orders still out there. One of which is federal employees and contractors of the federal government must be vaccinated or be tested in order to, I think it was vaccinated altogether, in order to contract with the United States government. And the other one is anybody from a foreign country coming into this country must be vaccinated or tested before they can come into this country.
No. That's wrong. If
No,
you're
it's not wrong.
if you're an illegal alien, you do not.
Oh,
need
well,
the
okay, I'll give you that. We'll go back to the illegals. And of course,
that's really.
Of course, that was Vice President Harris said, of course, they're not going to stay long. The illegals are just here for a quick visit. I mean, what?
I got a notice just before the show tonight, and this goes a lot of what Tracy's just bringing up. Chuck Schumer is now asking that the immigration on the Trump era be dissolved now. Everything that Trump set up for immigration, he wants dissolved.
So he wants everything revoked.
You got it. I will put that up on the TIBN's group page after the show.
Well, what did we hear Biden say? The wall won't keep out the vaccine. Well, yeah, keeping people out will keep out the vaccine. The wall will help. It actually it's a proven fact that the wall within itself has been a great aid to keep people from just walking across into the country. Because even though they can climb the wall, they're still penetrating. What's happening is we have sensors there, and it's alerting the Border Patrol agents where people are penetrating the wall and giving them the ability to get there and apprehend them before they get into the country. And we need that because we need to vet people into this country. We can't just let people walk into the country willy-nilly. That's not going to work. There's a reason why we have immigration policies. Part of it is because of disease such as, I don't know, COVID-19 or measles or
let's see.
any other
talk about
disease.
Smallpox.
Smallpox, yeah, that was a big one.
And we've all had vaccinations, some of us, but we had to line up for first grade to get your smallpox and everything else. So.
Yeah, we were. Well, those are proven vaccines, proven to work, and the problem is the vaccines that we're dealing with now aren't proven vaccines. They don't work.
Polio was a big one too.
Polio was, and the thing about polio is they used live cultures in polio when they made vaccines. So some people actually got polio from the vaccination process within itself, and that is the tyranny of forcing people to get vaccinated. Is it's against your will, it's against your choice, and if you get sick, oh, stinking well, it's on you. You know what I mean? There's nothing you can do about it at that point in time. You can't take it out of your system once you have it.
Well, and that reminds me kind of like in the military during war, you're a casualty of war is what you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that now was another thing that was brought up. I don't know who that attorney, I mean, I know who she was that was running with them, that would help them start this organization. And I did hear at the beginning of this that our constitutional rights have been suspended. That was false. And also I heard that the emergency, what do they call it? Excuse me here for a second. Emergency Procedures Act, is that what they called it? Yeah. It doesn't exist. There is no Emergency Procedures Act. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I heard somebody else bring it up. I know they changed things in the website and stuff. I heard somebody else bring it up here yesterday about the Emergency Procedures Act or whatever they're calling it. And the thing of it is, there is no such thing as Emergency Procedures Act. And what we have is emergency procedures. We have, I know that's not the right word for it. I'm spacing on that. But the point is presidents have always had emergency procedures. They've always been able to exercise state of emergency. And many presidents have. We've seen Lincoln did it during Civil War. We've seen Roosevelt during World War II when he took Japanese folks and put them in concentration camps. He was exercising emergency procedures. And that was a suspension of constitutional rights when he did it. Under emergency procedures, constitutional rights can be suspended. It doesn't mean that all of your rights are suspended. So there is no such thing as Emergency Procedures Act. What it is there's such thing as a National Emergencies Act. And that's the defining difference. The National Emergencies Act was created in the 1970s by a Democrat, by the way. Interesting enough, and I'm not promoting Democrats, especially today. In the 1970s, they were far different than today. But the National Emergencies Act was created because presidents were abusing their emergency power. That's what it is, Emergency Powers Act. That's what they were calling it. Anyway, they were abusing their emergency powers, and so they decided to create the National Emergencies Act in order to restrict the president of the United States from being able to abuse those powers. It gives Congress the ability to revoke those powers. So to ask for that act to be removed, to be revoked, or taken, repealed, is FUBAR. I mean, it's ridiculous. You don't want to get rid of that because you're just giving more power to the president of the United States, and that would be Biden, for Christ's sake. Do we want to give him more power? And the answer to that is hell no. We don't want to give him more power. He's a tyrant as it is, and we're seeing that.
Based on his speech the other night, and I have to give kudos out to Lauren Boebert. For those that don't know, U.S. representative from Colorado. She had pawed out about the 13 lives that were lost, and he compared his son-in-law dying of cancer.
His son.
Mm-hmm. That was the son.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, but even still, how can you make that kind of comparison?
You can't little someone's feelings about that. I mean, his son, it was a whole different thing. These other people were killed. They were serving us and they were killed.
I mean, to me, this sounds like another case of I, me. Only though he chest bumped a lot louder than the peculiar man from Missouri.
Well, I'm not a Biden fan. In fact, all the Democrats we have sitting right now, I'm not a fan of. But I'll be honest with you, my father had dementia and the start of Alzheimer's, and that's exactly what Biden has. The sad part is, if I treated my father in that manner and put him on display, I would be arrested for adult abuse.
Abuse of the elderly, yeah.
Abuse of the elderly. You can't
Well taken.
And here we have him as our president, who really, just looking at him, you can tell he doesn't have a clue. So my question, I'm a person who always asks questions. I'm sure the convoy probably knows that by now. My question would be is who's actually running this country? Because who's ever running this country obviously isn't qualified. Not qualified to
that's the Wicked Witch of the West.
She's running it. She's my sister. I'm sure she can do a better job than what we have right now.
Oh, I'm talking about the other Wicked Witch of the West, the imposter.
Well,
you're talking about Kamala?
Kamala doesn't. They don't even bring. They don't bring her in the office.
The one that I talk about is the one John knows I always joke about. I haven't seen anything good come out of San Francisco since Bill Cartwright, and Nancy Pelosi does not fit that bill.
What's her name? Waters, all those people. You know, but exactly, they're not fit to be running our country. I think there should be a term limit. I think there should be an age limit. Not that I want to discriminate against elderly, but I think once you hit 80, it's time to relax. Go enjoy your life. I'll tell you, our president would probably like nothing more than to get on his little train, go home to his beach house, and sit on the beach and play with his dog. He's earned that. He's put his time in. It's time to walk away and go enjoy your life. And I got to tell you,
this is what I keep saying about Nancy. She needs to go home and enjoy her grandkids.
Exactly. She does too, but maybe her grandkids don't want her.
But anyway, did she try to bribe them with ice cream?
I don't know. You could do that to Biden. But, but my point is a poor man. You know, I just feel terrible that he's in this position where he shouldn't be. And all these people, 30% of the people think he's doing great. He's got a 28 or a 32% liking. Are you kidding me? Has he not seen what the rest of they hide everything from him. That man does not have a clue of anything that's going on. And I would like to know why I had sent a letter off to my senators, and I wanted, this was quite a while ago, why isn't Hunter Biden being arrested for child pornography? Now, if you had all that stuff on your laptop, child pornography, you would get arrested. You would have to register as a sex offender. But nope, nope, nothing. They came after Trump's kids so hard, but Hunter, nothing. He's a drug addict. They have pictures of him with young women, young girls, not even women. So
my understanding was when they raided Giuliani's house and asked for all the records on Trump, he pointed to a laptop and said, that belongs to Hunter Biden. Take that with you.
yeah,
And they wouldn't even touch it.
no, not at all.
It's funny when you're well connected. Monkey Murray brought up CDC zombie protocol. I thought, and by the way, Monkey Murray, that is TJ from the Witch's
Yes,
Brew.
it is. We've been thinking about the brew. We've been thinking about the brew.
They've
huh,
been
John?
talking. They've been talking. So anyway, the CDC.
I'm concerned.
Yeah, right. Everybody gets scared. The CDC protocol that she's referring to is zombie preparedness, and this is coming from CDC.gov. Is CDC published Preparedness 101 Zombie Apocalypse to Public Health Matters blog in 2011. The post was an example of educational entertainment. It used a popular cultural reference to zombies to promote preparedness for different emergencies and disasters. The campaign is now retired. You can still learn how to prepare yourself and others by visiting the Prepare Your Health website. So I'm not sure exactly what that was all about, but I guess it was it's supposed to be a cultural reference to get people more interested in what the CDC has to say. I'm not sure.
Well, the new report from the CDC is they've made a mistake on some of the numbers. Yeah, we already know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't need to do a study to let us know that mistakes have been made.
Shockwave.
But they said that before, but then now you can't find it. Right?
No, they take it once they put it out there, they can take it right off because now they can legally say, yes, we disclose the information to the public, but it's only on for an hour or so. And that's legal. That's within their rights to do that. So if you don't catch it, you're not going to see it. And that's to me, that's really defrauding the public that they work for because they work for us, just like the government works for us. Now, the People's Convoy, hopefully he's going to come. We can get him. I think that Brian's got stuck somewhere, but I had some conversations with some people about the People's Convoy, and I am not against the People's Convoy. I think it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful that people are giving drivers money to help them with their expenses. That's awesome. What the only thing I don't like is about the People's Convoy is the fact that there is no transparency and there's no really unity. Oh, yeah, you got all the trucks together, you got this and you got that, but they're not disclosing what their plans are. And I think if I'm going to be traveling in a truck, I want to know what the plans are. I want to know who those people are. I want to know why Mike and Brian have security. I don't get it. They're no different than any other driver out on that road. In fact, I know a lot of drivers who could actually, I'm not going to say, maybe I shouldn't say this, could outsmart them. That's just my personal opinion. My personal opinion is not John's, it's mine. But as you know, I am a rep in a union, and what bothers me when we go before Congress, we are always before Congress, and we're always, in the Senate, we're on all types of committees. We always make sure that every single person gets a say. And I know they can't do this with the trucking, but a lot of people should have had an input when they're having their rallies at night. My question is, are they asking for people's ideas? Are they asking for all these people are helping them? What do you think? What's going on? Or how are the people taking it? Or how about when you stand up and you give a speech, instead of giving a speech, ask your drivers what they really want. What is this really about? Is this about somebody just making money? How are those drivers getting home? I have not heard anything yet that once we get here, we paid for your fuel coming here. Who's paying for their fuel to go home? Who's paying for
I had that very conversation with another driver today.
Well,
and here's what I brought up. And John, you tell me if I'm wrong. Because he's going through Haggardstown tonight. He's on a load to Washington. So I told him, by the time you get there, everything should be calmed down. You should make your appointment. You watch and see how fast, and when the time comes, and how them brokers aren't going to have a field day with getting trucks out of Washington, because they're going to be going up for pennies on the dollar.
Exactly. Because
if they're not looking for loads, they're looking for trailers.
Yeah.
And then they're going to be looking for loads.
Yeah.
To answer your question in regards to who's paying for the way home, they put it on their website that they are paying for fuel to get to DC, but they are not paying for anybody's way home.
Wow. So I'm really happy that we're hearing that people are giving them money and fuel. So that's good. I know there's the G's have a Venmo account. That's great. I just know myself, and I question this about money. When somebody starts these groups and they're asking other people for money, my question is, before I give anybody money, I want to see their setup. I want to see where if this is a 501c or whatever it's going to be, just like this Convoy, you got $1.5 million. Let's see your payouts. What are you paying for security? What did you pay for that? What is it? They have a motorhome. Wow. Who are you paying? How much do you think this lawyer's going to make? This woman makes big bucks. Her paralegal is still with them. Paralegals I know up here, they start them at $90 an hour. So, I mean, where's the transparency? Where is the thing to show the people, hey, this is what our expenses were. This is what fuel cost us. This is what we had to pay for food. Where's the itemized list so we can see? I know that when I'm going to go on a trip, we have a trip coming up, and if I wanted to go to, I think it's Texas this year for the big AFT convention or wherever, I have to give an itemized list of my expenses. If I'm flying, what's the plan? If I'm taking the train, whatever my expenses are, it all has to be. And when we go to the Union Hall once a month, we see the entire expenses of everything, and our people vote on it. And the other thing, when I was telling them, I wanted to know some questions, but no answers ever come. All I get was, well, if you're either with us or you're against us. I'm not against it. I think protesting is great. I was a protester all through the 70s, 80s for women's rights. And it wasn't like, putting the vagina around my head. We actually went to state houses and we complained about equal pay, equal rights, equal this and that. And we did a really good job. But,
you just brought up a good point. I'm all for that.
I
remember here in Hampton Beach, New Hampshire, women went topless in protest. Mm-hmm. Now, ladies, if you want to go to DC topless, by all means.
I'm still having a picture. I don't want a picture with Tracy having a vagina on her head. Let's get past that.
Well, I'm just saying.
I don't know. I know. I'm just joking with you at the moment.
I protested with Gloria Steinem. I mean, we were fighting because why should a male spend $25,000 at the time for college, and I'm spending $25,000 for college. We both have the same degree. We both want to teach history. He makes $20,000 more than me a year. Why is that?
But the point I was going to make is, and I have to look at this kind of like a few other guys would, it is a military standpoint. And when you have a military thinking, they're going to keep certain things hid. Right now, they're only going to report to who they need to report to as far as the funds, what their next strategy to report is, and then they'll work it down the chain of command. And eventually it'll get out. Eventually it's going to come out. And I have a feeling
you can pick your generals, you can pick your colonels, you can pick people to follow. Who picked these two guys? Did you vote for them? Did anybody just say, hey, we're just going to get these two guys? Or are they being manipulated?
No, I think what's happened, and they've both been in the spotlight once before.
I was not happy.
And I think what's happened is they got picked to go again. Now, regardless if you dislike, or whatever the case might be, I'm not going to sit here and rail on what they're doing. But what I am going to say is this. They're going to come out with what they're doing in time. And sooner or later, as you just brought up, people are going to want answers, and they're going to have to come up with those answers whether they want to or not. Now, if
And
somebody was to tell me, and as a matter of fact, somebody did tell me not too long ago, you're either with us or against us. Well, how about I just stay neutral, and then when something happens, you can bear that burden. That's the way I feel about it.
someone had asked me, and I said, I think it's great. That this Convoy, I think it's great. It's we the people. But I also know, being in a union that is one of the largest unions in this country, we all there's unity and there's transparency, and we pick our leaders. We have a choice. I don't like who the head of our thing is, and I voiced my opinion, but I can voice my opinion. And they didn't say, "Well, you can't be with us because you don't like this." No, I mean, my whole thing is let people know something. Talk to people. But when you have security guards, and some people that I'm really good friends with said, hey, they were friends with Brian and Mike, and they're not allowed to talk to them. What's that about?
That's scary. That's isolation.
Exactly.
I see that as isolating them from,
that is isolating.
From their base. We do have somebody waiting to come in here. In regards to what you were saying about transparency and things, supposedly I've been hearing through the grapevine that BLM has tried to infiltrate, and Antifa's tried to infiltrate them out in Hagerstown. So they've had some issues with outside agents that have tried to do them wrong. And I got to give Brian a lot of credit. And I do give Brian credit for a sense of leadership. He's pretty strong-willed, pretty strong-minded. He and Mike together work pretty good as a team. And they don't put up with some nonsense. We can get into that a little bit later with Lee Dundas. Let me get Jeremy in here.
Oh, Jeremy.
Hey, Jeremy, how you doing?
Hi,
I'm
Jeremy.
great. How are you, John?
I'm good. So, what's going on with you, Jeremy? You got any thoughts on this topic?
Well, I got a lot of thoughts on the topic. I don't know if everyone likes my views and opinions about it, but I'm not here to be, friends with everyone either. So,
Jeremy, they don't like mine either.
What was that?
I said they don't like mine either because I ask questions and nobody answers me.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and that was one of the biggest problems with me is I asked questions, and the minute I started asking questions, I got kicked out of the Cool Kid Club. So
every time I call Indiana and pop the question about John, all of a sudden nobody wants to talk to me. And John will tell you, I've been writing to my U.S. Senator. Why did you kick my man off the Mixac board? Oh, well, we can't talk about that. Oh, we're going to talk about it.
Well, I was working with a couple local senators here in Washington State, too, about getting access to running water bathrooms when we're at certain locations. And there was a bill, I got it all written down somewhere. I don't have it with me because I'm out and about today. But, and they were going to hear it in Congress and everything else here in my state. And they were also going to deal with some trucker parking and everything else in my state. And my fear is everything that's going on right now, if it doesn't end very well, anything that any of us have tried to actually get done is going to be null and void now, because they're going to look at, look what they did. And that's my biggest fear right now. The end outcome. What is the end outcome? What is the ultimate goal?
Sean and I have had to deal with that in the past when there's been trucking events and we were dealing with U.S. senators' offices and such. And we're trying to explain to them, we're not associated, we're not affiliating with what you're seeing in the news. Yeah. And it can be very challenging sometimes because now they got to look it up and see basically they will research you. They will look at your Facebook activity and stuff and see what you're doing.
We have a women's group who has been down on a committee almost every other week working on truck parking, issues that women are having in driving. Desiree. And my comment when this first started, I had said, why didn't these guys call the heads of groups and all talk to everybody? Well, they're not going to call John because he knows all the ins and outs of everything. They're not going to call Desiree because she's down there. These are the people that have worked on this for the last 5, 10, 15 years. They don't even ask them. And I actually had a little squabble with somebody when I said, I think your husband should have been talked to about this too, because he's been down there. He's been putting things out there. He's been studying. He's learning the laws. Nope. It's the same people. Now, I've watched these people. This is me. I am a lay person. I don't drive anymore. I teach, but I've been to 10-4 DC. I've done all that, and nothing ever comes in. Oh, we got to go in the White House. Yeah, they blow smoke up your ass because nothing got done. It doesn't
Now,
work.
Jeremy,
See, you need to go to your state house and you need your governors.
Jeremy,
100% there.
Let's you and I compare some notes here briefly. Now, I've got relation out in Washington State. Is it true I'm hearing you cannot go to any public facility without either a vax card or a recent test?
In King County, that was mandatory in the King County area in Washington State, not statewide. Up until the 12th now, our governor came out and rechanged the date. It was originally March 21st that you could take your mask off or your muzzle and enter a public place without a mask on.
The diaper.
He changed that because of the science told him that we can now do it on the 12th. So right now, currently, for the next week and a half, if you're to enter a public place in Washington State, you're required to wear a mask still.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Going to D.C. isn't going to change the senators or your governor in Washington and Washington State.
Yeah, and that comes back to the 10th Amendment, because the 10th Amendment states that the states have the power over the federal government, and the federal government can't tell the states what to do on a certain extent, and the states control what the federal government does. It's all written in there. I don't have it all in front of me, but
exactly. No, that you're absolutely right, Jeremy. Our governor got rid of all the mandates and all the masks. Done. We're all done. State of New Hampshire's done. So some people, he left it up to some people. Now, just case in point, I was in the hospital a few weeks ago. My doctor didn't have a mask on. He didn't take the vax because his religious belief. I can't take it because I'm allergic to it. There's just so many things that are going on. And I had seen another doctor in there, and he said he's treating just as many vaxxed as unvaxxed. So this whole getting people to do this, forcing people to do stuff is crazy. But my thing is, I had told somebody about the convoy, shut down the southern border. Go to the governors. Go to your governor. Go to your state house. Bring your trucks to the state house. Sit outside your state houses. They're going to notice you because it's small areas. You know it. If you ever go to your state capital, they're small. There's not a whole lot of wiggle room. You could block those guys right up. But I don't know. DC, I don't know. I hope it works because, like you said,
I know
it doesn't work.
Go ahead.
If it doesn't work,
Well,
it just look terrible.
Well, now, as I know in Indiana, Governor Holcomb has went ahead and restricted all. He's lifted a lot of the mandates. He's ready to move on. And he's pretty much just said, this is the way it's going to be now. If you choose to wear it, you choose to wear it. If not, then that's up to you. I know the state of Utah, they just now open it up wide open, that they're doing the same thing. As I keep in touch with former state senator Kim Coleman. So a lot of these states are doing like John was talking about earlier. They're at the point they're saying enough's enough.
Yeah, well, the governors went down to D.C. and told the administration, we've had enough. We're opening our states. We need to get people back to work. And, that was another thing. I don't know if anybody knows, but you see all these places that are desperate for workers. Before COVID, there wasn't that many jobs. And now there's so many jobs. What happened to all those people?
McDonald's is paying $16 an hour to work for them now.
Well, up here they get $15 an hour to start, and they get $1,000 sign-on bonus for the $500 after 30 days, and after 60 days the other $500. Damn, I'm going to go to work for McDonald's. I can slug
I'm
a
telling you,
easier than putting up with kids.
Oh, man.
And then I'd have to bring John 3 hamburgers home every day. But I have to go. I am going back to the work for the first time since December 23rd. But Jeremy, it was nice talking with you, and You know, I hope people don't realize
Well,
I'm not
before you
against.
take, I want to roll back. I want to roll back to what you were saying of getting in touch with other group leaders, and why they did
Yes.
not. I was in talks with Brian, Mike, Trucker G, all the big names that are over there in a group thread on my phone currently, because I did open the Stop the Tires page and wanted to
Yeah.
find out what the end goal was. And my biggest question every time was, what's the end goal? And, you know, could we do this another way? And my thought process was, if you want to do a convoy and want to make it known, then go state by state and start on the West
Yeah.
Coast, because the West Coast is probably the most blue side of the United States. And, you know, go to
Yeah.
each state capital and
Yeah.
be there for a day. And when I started asking questions, that's when it kind of went AWOL, you know, because they saw what happened in Canada and they wanted to do that here, even though DC is really not going to be able to help them.
No,
So
I
they
know.
did. We were all talking. It was who's going to be a part of what we want to do and what not.
So
Gee, John, that kind of sounds like a Mayday event, don't it?
Yeah.
sometimes these things happen. Yeah, things fall apart and people don't know where to go at the end of the day, and we lose them, you know. And so yeah, May Day was an interesting event. It was a long event, and very disappointingly so that the end result wasn't what it was expected.
They never are. Have we had any?
Well, how can it be in this one? That's my question: is how are you
didn't
going to
they
get what
say-
you expect to get out of this?
Didn't they say they were going to wait till somebody from? Oh no, they're going to send certain people now into Washington to talk. Is that what the?
That's
the
what I
game
heard
plan
last.
is?
Yeah, that I
And
guess.
I heard they were going to stage until someone came to them too. So
Okay.
Okay,
You're gonna be there
that
a
was
long
tried
time
once
waiting.
before. That was
Yeah.
tried once before.
Yeah.
They will come out and seek you like blowing the air horns in DC. Some members of Congress came out and began to talk with drivers. Problem is they don't know who's in charge. So they're just talking to random drivers. They're not talking to the people that are running things.
Well, maybe they get to talk to Mike and Brian because now they have security, and maybe the senators or the representatives that come out will see they have security, so they'll feel safe. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
So we do have another participant waiting to come
Okay.
in, and I'll go ahead and bring her in. Hi, Rose. How are you?
Oh, it's Rose. Hi, Rose.
Hey guys, how are you?
Rose, long time no hear.
No, no way. I know. It's been a while. Been a while.
So how's my favorite Sicilian in Pennsylvania?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
But I have to go. I
Try-
have to sign off. It was nice talking to everybody. Jeremy, it was nice talking to you. You put some funny stuff out there. Since you were for the first
I
time.
just try to put a smile on people's face as much as they don't think I'm trying.
You know, don't let these naysayers when they get on your page. I would just delete that. You know, I mean, I'm like, really, it's his page. He can say and do whatever he wants on his page. You don't like it, go to your own page.
Yeah, right.
I mean, really, give me a break. But good night, guys. Great show. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you
All
for
right,
spending-
take care, Tracy. Jeremy, before we get into Rose, there was one question I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, go ahead.
You've been involved in a lot of events, including near Indianapolis. Can you actually make a comparison between now and then of how far this has actually grown?
What event are you referring to?
Well, you've been in several different organizations involving convoys, correct?
I participated in Indianapolis. No.
Okay, I thought you did.
No, I think you're thinking of Jeremy Johnson.
So, anyway, what do you foresee that could happen with what's going to go on in Washington? Because you'd made a statement you think that's the wrong place to go at this point.
It's the total wrong place to go. You're not going to get anything done there. They're going to come out. I mean, if you do get your meeting or whatever you have, they're going to come out with a a stack of papers that say 10th Amendment on it, hand it to you, shake your hand, do a media pose, and walk away. Let's be realistic. I mean, you're not going to accomplish anything there. Nothing will be done because 90% of the mandates are on the state level, and most of them are lifting right now. Is it because of the convoy? Let's be honest. No, it's probably what's happening in November. There's kind of a big election coming up. It's called midterms. So, that's why I think a lot of these mandates are disappearing currently. Just my personal opinion.
Well, just like the last time when they were up at May Day, I had to laugh because right before the man passed, Ted Williams asked Joey D, as I call him, about the new hours of service. He said they didn't know they were going to come out. As soon as the May Day event come out, presto, they have new hours of service.
Yeah, I want to know what their end goal is. I get the message. I don't have a problem with the message. I think the message is correct. I think I don't disagree with what they're attempting to do, right? I've never downgraded the message. Ending the mandates, ending this mandate for employees to work in all these stuff. I stand behind that message. But in hindsight, you also have to look at it as much as you want to fight for our rights, if you work for a private employer, that private employer has the rights to put in whatever mandates they seem fit on employment. You also have that choice not to work for that company. Yes, that's a burden on a lot of people and a tough choice for people to make. I get it. But if you want our rights honored, you also have to honor other rights too. Where our rights end our rights don't impede over other people's rights. That's where you have to draw the line. And I don't think a lot of people are aware of that is, they just want to all end it and hold the horse's head to the water and force them to drink, but that ain't going to be the case. I mean, every private. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Trying to get in here. Let's get her opportunity to say something.
No, all I was going to say in final was, because I'd asked that very same question. And what I kept hearing was, we'll get it on the back end. Well, I think you better get it on the front end because you need to make your intentions known. And that's all I can say about that one. So, John, are we ready to move over to Rose?
Yeah, that's the idea. Rose, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're a little muffled, but we can hear you.
Okay, I'm trying here. Try not to be another shit show for sure. When this began, as far as when I got into it and started out grassroots, like everything else, it just seemed to me that the powers that be, and I'm going to call them the money people, okay, got in there. And the agenda seemed to change over. It was supposed to be ride middle of the road, not one side or the other, as far as Trump, Biden. What I've been watching, I'm not happy with, and y'all know me, and I pretty much speak how I feel.
No.
I got a real problem with how it all went down, with fear-mongering and with getting connected in with these other people. Did anybody do any research on who we connected up with?
Yes.
Number one. Okay.
Yeah.
Number two, whenever you talk money, you guys know as well as I do, it goes from one end to the stick to the other. My thing is accountability. Okay. And from what I'm seeing and from what I've watched, the peoplesconvoy.org, they had the website up, everybody was screaming for a ticker. Hey, let us know what you're making. What are we pulling in? Where's it going? The accountability right now, in my eyes, doesn't satisfy me because you have it going into there. Then you have all these articles coming out, which is making people question more. People that they're connected with, now are being investigated. So, I don't want this to turn into something that's going to hurt the rest of everybody that's out there that's working hard. There has to be better accountability. You got people on the ground. You got your American people that are donating. And from what I've seen, it's heartfelt comments. And that's great. Be accountable. What is truly going on? That's my question. What is truly going on the ground? You get people, I'm not there personally because my moral compass guided me to keep my ass home. And I'm forefront and pretty much, and I will support everybody. But this right now, without my questions being given solid answers, I'm sitting this one out, guys. I'm sitting it out.
Well, it sounds like you and Jeremy are on the same page.
I've never been like that, and I've always screamed and hollered. Well, I've screamed and hollered since I had a foot in the door with this stuff. I didn't like it. I voiced my opinion. I got mad. I screamed. I hollered. I got candy coated answers. I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here and basically bust my ass and push people to do something when I'm not getting the answers that I need, that I can give genuine answers to somebody else.
It's hard to find people. You can't get the right answers. That's what happens a lot in black and blue when we're trying to operate. I'm getting information. I'm handing out information. Then I'm being contradicted. It is very frustrating. That's what you're talking about there. That's what's happening to you.
Well, yeah, because
to me too.
It started out with one thing, and then it's changed up as we went along. Okay. Well, what is it? It's either this way or that way. It started out with, the donations and stuff. And then we had donations with, everybody taking up donations for like what they did in Canada. You had, gloves, you had this, you had food, you had that. Were we parking up? Were we parking up like Canada did? Because that's, kind of what I thought was going to go down. And then it shifted. So now we got all these tractor trailer loads of goods, and I'm going to keep it real. And I don't really give a rat's ass who gets mad at me and who don't at this point. Okay. Because that's where you've all got me, not you guys, but that's where I am with my questions. You got tractor trailer loads coming down. Where are they going? What I've seen, they're on the back of a flatbed being passed out to whoever showed.
As of my understanding yesterday, and because I was supposed to go to Maryland and that got canceled, I ended up going to Texas. But it's my understanding that there are 6 trailers right now full of goods. 2 of those trailers are pretty heavy down, and they're telling everybody don't donate no more.
Correct. I heard the same thing. How can you keep taking donations from all over when you're not coordinated up to have them picked up? That's a big logistical feat. You know what I mean? To make sure you're routing everybody.
I think that was important for them. I really don't think they expected the American people to step up the way they did. And that's, to me, that's one of the most amazing things about this event is the way the American people stepped up and showed support.
Well, they're stepping up. Trust and believe. We're grateful for them stepping up. But what's the end game? Did they step up because they thought what was going to go down was going to be we were drawing lines, holding the line, basically, like Canada did? Is that what all these supplies were for? Or were they just to be, handed out to random people? Like, I'm not getting any of it. I have more questions since I started this than answers. And I don't want to be, the so-called Debbie Downer. Okay, I want answers, and I am not getting the answers. And that's important because you're not only, in my eyes, you got a lot of good truckers out there with good hearts. Okay, I don't want basically a few bad apples because they're not organized in the correct way or they're shifting off of their gears. Now everybody's sitting there like, what do we do? What do we do?
I think this thing grew bigger than them. I think it got out of hand for them. I didn't think they expected it to be as big as it became. I know that we see Brian and Mike a lot in the forefront. But fact of that is there are other people involved in this organization that are probably pulling more strings because they got the purse to do it, right? But they're using Brian and Mike as the spokesperson. So if this goes down bad, it's Brian and Mike that look bad. The other guys just kind of slink away. This is a peculiar man from Missouri strategy, right? So if your lead guys fall, I don't fall with them.
I agree. And that's where I think it went off course because, like I said, it started out as a grassroots effort. these guys that came in, this entity that came in, I don't know them from a can of peas. And from what I've been seeing, now we got the lawyer stepping off, okay, but yet her paralegal's still on, okay. What happened there? There's no answers for what happened there. And I'm reading,
I
yeah,
can
no,
not-
she's being investigated now for January 1st. Now we got feds involved. We got these people embedded in. It's a, oh God.
Okay, so this is the research you were talking about. Okay, her name is Lee Dundas. She's a
Yep.
civil attorney out of California. She's, from my understanding, is the one who wanted to get them into Coachella, which is a liberal event in California, which that failed. So Lee Dundas is wanted to be questioned by the FBI for her role in the January 6th event. She was there rallying people up. She was there looking at people's emotional heartstrings and getting them riled up before they went into the Capitol building. Basically, she's directing them, and she actually went as far as to say in her speech to them that you would be well within your rights to pull these people out, meaning members of Congress, for treason and shoot them or hang them. That was her word. I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, but that's basically her words. This is the type of stuff she did, and she got people so emotionally charged, and they're going into the Capitol building and tearing stuff up. And now these guys are in jail for 4.5 years, while she wandered around free. So basically, what happened was, my understanding, the closer they got to DC, the more wild she got. She started going back into her old routine. And she's trying to rile these guys up. And Brian, to his credit, stepped up and said, you know what? You need to go. And
But yet, though, Brian covered it on TikTok this morning by saying she had she had to go see some family and get some
I'm
things
sure he
taken
wanted
care
to
of at
see
home.
it. I'm just not giving it to him.
You can't cover it up. The cover is blown, guys. It comes down to, in my opinion, you didn't research who you got in bed with to begin with. Okay, this guy, and I totally agree when you say it was bigger than them. We've never been involved in anything that big. Okay, be careful who you get in bed with. There should have been research done.
Yes.
There's much, and the other thing is, as far as them saying, "Oh, we're going to help you organize. We got our logistic people. We got this. We got that." There's been fights going back and forth. How can these people handle logistics when they're not truckers? They're not truckers. They have no idea.
The thing about it, we got a group of people called Trucks with Room to Spare. And if the American people wanted to donate stuff, it'd have been nice to work with Trucks with Room to Spare for that logistical reason to manage this. Anything left over could have went for a good cause. If there's residual stuff like food items and things like that, it could have went for a good cause.
John, you just went there and you did it. And you know I'm going to say this.
You love Trucks with Room to Spare. I know you do.
Trucks with Room to Spare is one of the best organizations I've seen. Shelley Convoy has done a terrific job with this. But yet, though, because it's the same old story, because some people don't like Shelley or they think that they can do better, they've shunned her for whatever reasons.
It goes back to exactly hit the nail on the head, the ego bullshit. Okay, instead of everybody, you want to create something this big. I'm sorry, it's not just going to be one convoy. When these people came in, okay, to help, nobody reached out to any of the other groups until it was too late. By that point, some of these other groups had already established they were going to do something. And then by the time, our guys, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if the amount of trucks was promised they could gather trucks for these other people or what. But by the time they tried to get everybody together, you already done pissed everybody off and they went their own way. Now you want to try and wrangle them all in under one roof. And then you got all the silliness going on in between. So again, we got division. Tell me how we got division over freedom. Okay, I can see trucking issues because we've seen it through the years. Now, how can anybody argue or divide over freedom? No, what they're dividing over is you're not getting the right answers to the hard questions. Point blank, period. There's no transparency in my eyes. I'm sorry, there's not.
And now you know why I can't get an answer to your question, John.
I always said in trucking, the word unity has its own definition. Follow me, I'll lead you. Nobody wants unity. Nobody wants to work with different groups where you have different leaders and coordinate together with different leaders. It's always follow me and I will lead you. And that's part of the problem you're referring to, Rose, is these guys want to be the great leaders, the great of all this. That's not how it works.
It
You got-
started out, let me explain something to you on my end. It started out with a group of 18, okay? Just bullshitting about it. You know what I mean? That group of 18 wound up dwindled down to 5 or 6 people, okay? I might not like certain people, but you know what? For the sake of the greater good, I can work with anybody, all right? But then when you see people in the group that are having great concerns and you get bowled over like you get steamrolled over like nobody wants to hear it. My dad always said, you take everybody's opinion and form your own. If there's 10 people in a room and 8 are saying, do it this way, and you got 2 saying, no, don't do it, I'm not the person that's going to jump off the bridge because you tell me to. Okay, if my moral compass is telling me back up, I'm backing up, because you know why? I'm not going to sit there and tell people, oh, come on, jump on in if I can't do it myself. That's just me. And everybody is scared, they're going to get blackballed. I'm that one that don't give a rat's ass. And I'll call them all out. How can you have transparency on the donate button? Okay. You get the donate button. Okay. Donate through there. Where is the accountability for that? Number one. Number two, now you're on the ground all over the map for every stop you stop at. You're getting handed money here, there, and everywhere else. And I'm supposed to take your word it's being accounted for? No, what should have happened, any money given by the American people to that, whatever stop they were at, should have been put in a basket, okay? Put it in a safe, whatever, and then forward it over to the bank that's supposed to be handling this stuff. That's not what I'm seeing. And I can't get behind it. And I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, Brian. Sorry, Mike. Sorry, Marcus. Sorry, whoever. You need to have accountability.
John, and you wonder why I picked her. This is why I picked her to help us with May Day last year. And she was a big help for us. She really was. She was a big help to me. But
I'm not knocking May Day either. There's a lot of good people that really genuinely have good hearts. But God damn it, man, get organized. Incorporate everybody. It doesn't matter whether you get along with them or whether you don't. You know what I mean? But this thing here should have been handled where whoever did it should have had their own attorneys, their own accountants. We didn't need these other people because you know what? It would have became just as big. But you tied yourself into somebody. Oops. Well, we were screaming. We were all screaming behind the scenes. We're not agreeing with this. We're not agreeing with this. Everybody got shut up and tossed to the side and blackballed. And this one, they can't talk to that one. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm Rose. I talk to everybody. The only people that could tell me that I couldn't talk to somebody is my parents. God rest their soul. They're both dead. But you're not going to sit there like a dictator, banging your fist, telling me what I got to do. No, sorry, wrong.
Is that why we got blackballed, John? Because we tell the truth?
No, people don't.
So hot right now. I'm so hot right now. A fire hose wouldn't put me out.
Well, all you got to do is ask questions too, and it'll get you hot. You ask questions to the wrong people over there.
I was about ready to tell you, Rose, you might want to settle down that Dago temper for a minute.
No, I'm good. Trust me, I'm good.
Well, she's right. She's 100% because,
Oh, yeah, I know.
Everyone was willing to help. And that's, like John said earlier, that's one good thing that has come by this, is American people want to step up and help and everything else. And even when I was part of the cool kid tree, as I like to put it, and I go, hey, I'm up here in the Northwest. Don't forget about the Northwest. What can I do to help? What can I do to organize from my area and come across and meet up? And they said, we got it handled. I go, okay, got it handled. I'll let you handle it then. Let me know if you need anything. I've got 70,000 members in Stop the Tires that I can get this information out to. Just let me know, and I will get it out there. And they couldn't even communicate back with me. And if you asked a question and questioned anything that they wanted to do, you were kicked out immediately. And it was really frustrating.
This is another group that I'm starting to think about it, and I think it had BSM in it.
Well, I'll be honest with you. There was members from BSM that were part of this too. I've got the group thread. I don't want to do it, but I'll screen record the whole thing and put it in a video and post it out there if people want to see it. But that's not how I'm going to be.
No, we
And-
had a former co-host that actually got the BSM threat, and he threatened them by telling them to come on the show, but I never seen that happen. So,
There you
Rose,
go.
you're not doing nothing right now with it. You're just
I'm basically, like I said, Chris Young has been doing a great job with the website. She's been trying to keep middle of the road with everything, keeping the trolls out and stuff like that. I can totally back her for everything she's doing on that end as far as the Facebook end of it. But as far as me personally getting in my truck and going down there, I can't do that, man. I can't do that. You want me to talk to people? Oh, it's going to grow as it goes along. It's going to grow. Okay. Well, if you would have been all inclusive in the beginning, okay, and you would have coordinated a lot better in the beginning and worked with everyone, I don't think we'd have all these questions. You don't want anybody's input. You know what I mean? They say they do, but when you ask the hard questions, you get either a candy coated answer or we got it and I see everything's going fine. Well, I'm sorry. I'm watching the American people with their comments. I'm watching stuff that's getting posted on Facebook. I'm not buying into everything, but you know what? To me, there's a lot of people asking a lot of questions, okay? And there's no answers. I have a problem with that.
okay. And so, Jeremy, with you saying that you've got the connections you've got right now, are you willing to try to do something on a separate end?
Well, we got to let this one die down first, right? The reality of the situation is that if anybody tries to do something now, and with everything going on, one, you're probably not going to have the support because they're looking, east to find out what happens. Am I willing to try to figure out what we can do and maybe go to DC for a better message? I think that's the problem. I like the message they had. They just went to the wrong place with that message.
And
If your
instead-
message was a little bit different and you went to DC, you might have a valid reason for being there. And that could be a multitude of things. But until this one dies down, you're really not going to get any support for anything that you want to try to do or a group that wants to try to do something. We all know that there's different things in the trucking industry. There's different things for human rights. There's multiple things that we can all get behind. But everything that's going on right now, given where they're at and what they're standing for, at this present moment in time, you're not going to get anything done, realistically. What I tried to do 2 years ago, it took 2 years for that to die down before we got to this. And, maybe the next presidential election will be the next thing. We'll see where it goes. To be honest with you, I'd love to try to do certain things and work with a lot of people, and that was my goal a couple years ago. And everyone wanted to put in for their own reasons and everything else. And I'm not saying I'm the cure-all or anybody else is the cure-all. If we were all perfect and knew the cure-all, we wouldn't be in any of these situations. So
let me ask you guys this. When the ATA goes to DC to address issues, they're a lobby.
Mhm.
When the OIDA goes to DC to address issues, they too are a lobby and they have a membership base. This particular circumstance happens to be a bunch of truck drivers. Say there's 350, 400 trucks here that are involved in this, and you got maybe 3 or 4 of them decide, we're going to go down to Phoenix to meet with some of these legislators, but they really don't have a lobby. They're not a lobby, and they don't really have a membership base. Do you think they'll really be taken seriously by anybody in DC?
I personally think, and this is just my opinion, and you know how opinions are, but my personal opinion is it started out good. Okay. If you had the American, instead of the truck drivers, they were basically the big guys. We needed all the American people on board, the cars, the SUVs, whatever you came in. If we would have had a presence like that and everybody would have got, their say, DC right off the bat is, oh, it's not friendly. We're going into enemy territory. Come on, guys. Unless you're going to stand like Canada and surround and be able to take your lumps, you know what I mean, and take a hit, then don't do it. Because in the beginning it was, we're going to do this, and it was based off of what Canada did, and then it turned and turned and kept on turning. Like, you're not going to accomplish anything unless you have the people behind you. You're screaming freedom. You're not screaming trucking issues.
Yes.
You know, there's no reason for, you know, anyone not to be able to stand up for your freedom. But with what's going on right now, I'm sorry.
So let me,
You know, and to quote something that I once heard, the American, and this comes straight from Patton, the American people love a winner, and they will not tolerate a loser. And they are so hungry right now for one person to get behind them, or they can get behind, to say, we want change. The question is that one leader going to be able to convince someone in Washington? And this is where I agree with Jeremy. You're going to have to go a little bit farther than Washington.
Yes. And I'm not downing anyone's efforts. What scares me, okay, and what really bothers me is that you have all these people behind you. You have the American people that aren't even there screaming in the background. Okay, they want change. They want this. They're looking towards these guys, okay, as, you know, like, let's do something. And it's pump the brakes. You started out one way and now we're somewhere else. Here we go into the friggin' not my monkey, not my circus type shit.
yeah.
You know,
and what's going to happen is if they don't accomplish anything, which I wish they would, but I really believe, and it's my opinion, they won't get anything done. All that support you had is now gone for anything that you would like to do in the future.
Let me tell you something. You know, I said it a couple weeks ago. Okay, if you made a mistake and you got in bed with the wrong people, I'd have a lot more respect for somebody that stands up and makes a statement saying, you know what, guys, you know, our bad, we screwed up, we listened to these people, you know, this is what happened, how do we turn it around? I'm not seeing none of it. I'm not seeing none of it. And I am hot. I am more than hot.
All right,
Who
guys.
do you think, I guess my question would be then, in that group then, the organizers behind it all, who would actually take accountability? Are one of them going to stand up and say, hey, you know what? We screwed up here. Do you think any one of them, let's be honest, have the balls to do it?
Let me tell you something, okay? You guys know me. Sean and John know me. Okay. If I was
we don't know.
If I was running that show and I screwed up, it's not beneath me to say, you know what, I screwed up. I'm sorry. Let's get it back on track. Okay. These guys right now, I stood with a lot of them. Okay. It hurts. It hurts my heart. Okay. To watch what's going down and watch them not get up and have a set of balls. I don't give a shit which one of the 3, 4, however many is in there. Stand up, face the music, say, let's get it together. Sorry, guys, whatever, and move forward. I'm done with the bullshit. Like, the American people and the rest of the truckers out there, okay, that have heart, you know, apologize, move on, do what you got to do, get it back on track. Don't make the rest of these good people look like assholes. And I'm sorry, I'm going to take a lot of heat for this, I'm sure, but I give a rat's ass about it.
All right, hang on. Hang on. I had Brian with Brian. He's supposed to be our guest here, and for the evening. And Brian, we brought you in because you were part of the beginning of this, if I remember correctly. As far as you participated, if I'm not misunderstanding, you participated in the Canadian organization of it, and then transitioned into the U.S. So, would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, basically what I did was is moderate for some groups up in Canada. And I decided to take the movement to America, and it took about 3 weeks because we had several groups up in Canada. And Canada is you have to understand, Canada is heavily mandated. And, you know, they pretty much, so it took 3 weeks. Basically what we were doing is we were in the background moderating, approving, disagreeing, getting rid of all the GoFundMe's that people were trying to put through, just a slew of stuff that you run into on a big movement that's expected. And so what I did was, through Patricia and other people up in Canada, I said, well, I want to do this in the United States. And because I've known Jeremy Braywalt since 2020, and we've talked pretty much just about every week since. And that's how I got to know Jeremy. Well, when this one went viral, when my group went viral, Jeremy Johnson was a moderator on my channel. And I told him, I said, look, I'm going to have to make you an admin if you're willing to do this. Now, I don't know Jeremy personally. I just know him through Stop the Tires, and that's it. I've talked to him on the phone. So I got a phone call one night as our group started going viral. Jeremy called me, and he was upset. He goes, why haven't you added me as an admin yet? I said, look, this is just kicking off here. It's going to be big.
1 sec. Let's call the Jeremy you're referring to Johnson, so they don't get me and Johnson confused.
There we go.
Just call him Johnson.
Okay. So,
because they get us mixed up, and I don't want to necessarily be a part of anything that yeah, let's just call him Johnson so they can tell us apart.
Okay. That's a good one. I forgot you were on here, Jeremy. And hello and good evening. How are you? So at that point, Jeremy called. He was upset, and I said, well, give me a minute and I'll make you an admin. And so I made him an admin. I was the original organizer from Convoy to DC 2022. And our group started growing within a few days. Jeremy came on.
Johnson
came on. Johnson came on. I brought him in as an admin. And then he brought all the other people in. Brian Browsey, Mike Landis, and a few other ones. I've got the names. Just a bunch of people. And so immediately I got a phone call, and it was a tug of war already. Either you step up to the plate, or we're going to do this, or we're going to do that. Now let me take it back a notch. Right after I brought Jeremy on, there was another group on Telegram that had been trying to penetrate the Canadian group. And their group on Telegram was called Convoy to Ottawa to DC. And I got on their thing because they mentioned Convoy to DC 2022. Well, that's not my group. So I got on there and I put, this is my group. We're not a part of this group. And for some reason, immediately the slander started, and he's a bad player started, and they said we have GoFundMe's up and stuff like that now. And that I showed, and Jeremy and Brian Browsey he called me with Johnson, and he called me with Jeremy Johnson, and who else was on the phone? I think that old cat up in New York State, James what's his last name?
Brasino.
There we go. And they called me, and they were trying to figure out what was going on. And I told them I didn't know what was going on, but I had found the screenshots. And then people started sending me the screenshots about what was going on. And so we found out that we had some bad players in Texas, and we logged their IP addresses, and we tracked them down to Freedom Fighters Liberty Radio, something to that nature. And we even tracked the girl down and some of the admins and moderators. So, and at that point, stuff started going shady. And by all means, with all due respect for everybody, I'm gonna burn some bridges, but but then again, you'll understand why those bridges are burnt. But you better know how to swim, because I'm fixing to call a few people out. After that conversation, it was like, what is our mission statement? What is our mission statement? Then The next phone call was I looked at my messages, and Stephanie from Fox News in Staten Island had sent me a message to contact her to be on the Sean Hannity show. Well, I didn't want to do the news until the very end because in the background, I am watching DC. I just watched Biden come out on the news, and it doesn't matter which administration it was, doesn't matter, who was in presidency, that the Supreme Court had already ruled. But my thing was that the current administration in DC had not acknowledged that. But during this time, they came out and acknowledged that and said it will be taken off the federal registry. Okay, so, well, now we've got all those mandates gone. There's only a handful left with the federal government at that point. And now it became a state deal. So while all the logistics were being worked out, you can kind of get the feeling when you're trying to get pushed out of a movement, okay? Well, come to find out, when I called Jeremy, and Jeremy Johnson, I called him, and he was on a phone. He was on the phone with a guy named Dallas Davis, which I don't believe that's his real name, and I can't say anything further than that as of right now. But what he did, Jeremy said, "Hey, this is Dallas. He's going to help us get the group back." This is the day the group got shut down. And so he come on and said, "This guy's going to help us." Now, I thought he was one of the drivers because it was so unorganized that when you got on this phone conversation on this group chat, they were randomly having these group chats. So, I was the original organizer. It was going to go my way or I was going to bail. Now, what made it shady was Jeremy said he had to go, and he said, "This guy's going to help us get back on track," or whatever. I thought he was a driver. Well, during that time, we talked for a few minutes, and he said, "Well, we've got something set up. Text this number, text Convoy to this number." And that's when I started seeing shady hit the fan. And so I didn't pay attention to it much. And then I called back later about something, and he said, "Well, once you add me as a moderator to the group, and I'll have to use my wife's name." And so I didn't have my glasses on. I'm on a laptop. I don't use a laptop much. And so I hit admin. And because I had made a group the day prior to the group going down, okay, because the group was already in the red zone to be shut down. We had nobody moderating the group hardly at all. So it was me moderating over 100,000 people and trying to get with these guys that Jeremy brought on, including Jeremy. Jeremy Johnson. I could barely even get a hold of Jeremy Johnson. And then when I did, he didn't want to talk about it. But what made this night, the night that the group got shut down, I was made aware of that Johnson had posted a live video by numerous sources that could have been highly taken as a threat to the government. And within 30 minutes, the group was wiped out. After that, 30 minutes to an hour, the group was completely shut down, gone, along with my personal page and whoever was an admin on our page. Their personal accounts were wiped out now. And so I had made that, and I already had a backup page, and I already had a backup group, the Restart group, Convoy to DC 2022 Restart. And so during this time that I was talking to this Dallas Davis, I did add his wife, which I thought I hit the moderator, but I guess I hit the admin. No big deal. You make mistakes. And so she was moderating. So I came back out to work on the tractor. I kind of had enough. But I was talking to him during this time before I worked out on the tractor. I was talking to him, and then he said he was involved in DC. He was involved in January 6th. He also stated that if they're going to indict him, they're going to indict him for a damn good reason this time. And at that point, Jeremy Johnson called in, And this Dallas Davis, and I've got all the recordings of it. Got Jeremy Johnson a Facebook page open with 10 Proton emails, and I said I got to go. So I went back out to the shop and started working, just trying to get a breath of fresh air, because I'm having to realize that now I'm getting a lot of intel and a lot of detailed information of some bad players over in this other group that was on Telegram that was gaining speed quick up to 9,000 people at that point. And this was the group I was telling you about that was doing the slandering and the bad part, saying that I have fundraisers up, which I never did. So that doesn't bother me. So after that, I'm doing some thinking, and I'm thinking, you know what? Something is not right here. Something is not right. Well, I got a phone call from an undisclosed source that stated that some of the people that were moderators in my group that Johnson had brought on were also a part of that other group, and that other group had tried to get theirs going before my group went viral. Now, fast forward later that night, I get a text message from Rose. Who was that, Rose?
Which text message are you talking about?
That night y'all called me, and he called you.
I was on the phone when you and him got into that yelling match, and I couldn't make sense of hide nor hair what was going on.
Well, when we talked that night,
Thanks,
who
kid.
was at the call?
When I had that conversation with you, I had Chris on the line.
Okay, Chris asked if I had I think it was Chris. What's his last name?
Oh, no. I'm talking about the second conversation. I don't know who was on the line when Jeremy and you were on the line.
Okay, no. When
I was not. I didn't know who was. There were so many people yelling and yada yada. I lost track.
This was the night that everybody was asking me who Stephanie was. This is Dallas Davis's wife, and I didn't pay attention. And I got the text message. Do you have a minute? Can you call, or vice versa? So I
That
called.
might have been Dan Coors.
It was Dan Coors. Dan Coors texted me and said, "You got a minute?" And he said, "Man, who is Stephanie?" Well,
I
I'm
asked
thinking
who Stephanie was too right away.
Do what?
Sorry,
Now the plot thickens. Okay.
I asked
got
who
my
Stephanie was too
interest.
right away, and
Yes.
I was the one that pointed out. I was one of the ones that messaged Brian Bondi about Johnson's live video that he did prior to the group getting shut down. I go, you need to go watch this now and get it removed off there, because at that time on that page I was not a moderator or an admin or any sorts on that current page. And I go, you need to get on there and do something about this video that Johnson had just put up. And don't get me wrong, Johnson is a guy that speaks from his heart. He has right intentions. He just sometimes gets a little bit overwhelmed, I think.
I agree.
And I think the one thing that you kind of passed over, Brian, was before the group got shut down, that was also the night that Brian Brazzi was supposed to do Hannity. And the reason Brian Brazzi is the face of the organization that's going on right now is because he wanted to step up and do the media hit. Everybody that was a part of these group messages and phone conversations goes, okay, Brian, you do the media hits. And I actually told Brian, be careful, this is what they're going to do, because I dealt with Fox 2 years ago. Be careful, because they're going to spin it this way, and be prepared. And he did a very good job when he hit the news. But that is how Brian Brazzi has now become the face of the People's Convoy. Brian Brazzi wasn't even part of the main planning of the convoy from the get-go. The only reason he's been jumped to the front and pro center is because he's the one that did the news hits. Mike Landis and him are friends from high school. Mike Landis has connections, has done a lot for the trucking industry, has done a lot himself, and more power to him. But in reality of it is Mike Landis was best friends with Brian Brazzi. Brian Brazzi did the media hit. So now Mike Landis has been shuffled to the forefront too, because they're best buddies. So the original organizers that tried to do certain things the right way at first, and then we tried to pump the brakes in a sense of, hey, this isn't going to go the way it's supposed to. Original organizers, Brian Von D, I would like to include myself in that situation, was we pumped the brakes and pulled the hell out really quick. As soon as money got brought up, and as soon as these other shady people started getting involved, to go, you know what? If you guys don't want to listen to us, we're done. We're done. And we pulled out literally 4 or 5 days into it.
Jeremy, let me step in there for a minute. Ray Walt's right about that. And the reason being is because Johnson took it up on himself to go ahead and put out a date and make up another backup group with a different icon, or what would you call it? A kind of like a header picture that was different from mine. And when it was March for Freedom or something, I don't remember exactly what the name was, but there was a lot of shady stuff going on.
Hang on a second. If I can interrupt you, I do have Jeremy Johnson on the phone right now. He's online. His mic is open. So if you want to address issues with Jeremy, you're welcome to. Or if Jeremy, if you want to interact, you're welcome to.
Thank you for having me on. And hello, Jeremy and Brian.
Hello.
And I'm going to tell you guys one thing. You guys want to start talking shit about me, make sure that I'm here to defend myself with the truth of what really went down. And I have Tony on the line with me, just so you know.
That's fine. You can bring him on. So, Jeremy Johnson, what we're explaining is what happened when you brought this Dallas Davis guy over that was involved in January 6th and some other things. And we're just now getting into it. So I'm glad you're on here. We can address all that. I have no problem.
Okay. I never brought him on, number one. I typed in the messaging, our messenger. We had a big group messenger. I typed in there. I just got, this guy got a hold of me and said that he was at January 6th and he could tell me how Antifa works. And I put on there, this guy wants to be involved on the messenger. I didn't say he is involved. I didn't say anything. I just said, this is what he said to me. And then I got in touch with Brian later. And I told him about this guy, and I gave Brian this guy's information, and we actually had the guy on the phone with us, and we were talking to him how Antifa worked. Which, listen, if you're going into DC, you need to know how Antifa works if you're going to be set up for something stupid. But I had to get off the phone for roughly, 3 or 4 hours. When I called Brian back, Brian, you were on the phone with this guy, and this private message that he sent to both of us. We were both in this messenger where you were on the phone with him for 3.5 to 4 hours.
No, I was not on the phone with him for 3.5 to 4 hours.
That was shortly after I got banned off of Facebook. And you guys were trying to tell me that you had a Facebook account set up for me, and I needed to put this email in, and you can get back on Facebook. And
that was Dallas.
I'm going to bed. And Brian, I've explained this to you over a phone call that I recorded that you know that you were being recorded on. I have that recording, and I have not released that publicly yet. I will release it if you keep up with your antics, because I'm tired of you slandering my name. I've heard all about it.
Johnson.
I will release that
one at a time, gentlemen. One at a time.
Who you are.
Okay. Johnson, you knew when I called in, you had him on the phone and you said, hey, I've got Dallas on the phone. He's here to help us out and get us out of this. We never did talk about Antifa. If you can prove that, play it. All I was in the understanding of is that this guy is part of this, and I thought the way it was taken that he was one of the drivers from the group. I didn't know this was somebody that allegedly you just brought on. Now, and the only conversation that I had with him in the beginning was the one I just talked about that you were listening to, is the fact that he was talking about the text convoy to DC, da 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 da. And then he had mentioned something later on about being involved in January 6th. And if he's going back, he's going to be indicted for a reason. I had gotten off the phone and I had called back for a reason. Okay. And then you called me. So that was the second phone call. Let's get this straight. I wasn't on the phone with him for 3 or 4 hours. And I'll put that point blank. And the only reason why he got added to the group was because the way you put it is that the way that it was put to me, that this guy's here to help us get us back going. And me thinking he's a driver and not some third party that we don't know. Maybe you didn't know him. I don't know. I can't answer that.
You never added him to the group, Brian. You did.
Hold on a second.
You made him a moderator.
Hold on.
I never
Hold on.
added him.
Oh,
He did cover that, Jeremy, prior to your coming here. He did say he did that.
Okay.
okay. So
What the thing is, Brian, is you denied you talking to him on that live that phone call that I recorded. You denied on there that you even talked to him the second time.
no, I didn't.
Recorded, Brian.
No, I didn't. You got mad as soon as I brought
You're not here now and deny that you didn't talk to him. But now you're admitting that you did.
If I can interrupt for a second, are we getting into a he said, she said sort of thing, or I mean,
I don't.
No, I have not released this phone call I had with Brian yet. Numerous people have heard it, but I've kept it on down low just for the simple fact I needed to have that to back me up because of Brian's accusations toward me. He accused me of being in this for financial gain when all along I told him I didn't want to be involved with any fundraising. And the second fact is that he was trying to start fundraising, and Tony's on the phone, and he can verify this because he was on the phone call.
Johnson.
Yeah, he did say.
Johnson and Brian, hold on a minute. Hold on.
That I needed to take care of things, and then we find out later that the financing that he was trying to get up and running was through his girlfriend's accountant firm. And dude, it is so shady. Everything that has happened prior to everything was because of your shadiness, Brian. And
no, first of all,
hold on. Let me address some of those things both of you guys said. 1 minute. Let me address both of those things you said. Okay, Johnson, I haven't said anything about you that I haven't talked to you personally about, and I think. Oh gosh, Coors was on the phone about the video that was addressed here a couple minutes ago before you were on. I don't know if you heard it. And I did reach out to Brian Von D. Said, hey, that video can be misconstrued. And I even told you on the phone personally that video can be misconstrued. Now, that doesn't mean that you weren't right saying what you said. I was just, when I addressed that with you personally, I want to make that clear first. Second, I have also heard you, Johnson, also take the same stand I do when it comes to funding. Now, the other conversations you guys had with this other man, I wasn't a part of. But I know Johnson from the get-go and myself, anytime Johnson and I have worked together on any situation, I will stand for Johnson in the sense of him and I are both the same way. If people want to donate to us with their own card, with their own, you know what I mean? We've never been, I know Johnson and myself have never wanted to be one of the ones that ever asked for a donate button broad spectrum for everybody. I will vouch for Jimmy Johnson on that one.
I can vouch now. I can vouch for Jeremy Johnson. I can vouch for Jeremy Johnson.
Brian was trying.
That
Go ahead,
he
Brian.
did not want his. I can vouch for Jeremy Johnson that he did say he does not want his name on any money thing or fundraiser or anything. And we had only talked to the CPA because I didn't even know if that was a route we were even going to take. Because the way it sounded from my CPA, this is something possibly we would not want to get involved in. And Jeremy Johnson did say that. And, because I do speak the truth, he did say that in the beginning that he didn't want to be his name tied to any fundraising at all. So, I do agree with Jeremy. Walk about that.
Brian, what I don't understand is now you're admitting all this. Now that you're basically vindicating what I've been saying all along, that I have not been in this for ill intentions, but yet on that recorded call that I have of you, you denied all of that on there also, and said that I never said that. You would even admit on that recorded call that I had said that from the very beginning, that I don't want to be involved with any financing. I've never taken money. Why the change of heart now? And why are you guys still bad mouthing me when I haven't even been involved in the main planning for 3 weeks to a month? I don't get it.
Jeremy, here's the deal. Honestly, I'll be honest, and I'll still say it. I think you're a good-hearted person down inside. I really do. But I think sometimes you kind of jump in real quick and get anxiety about things and maybe not think before it happens. And that's what happened with this Dallas deal. Okay. This Dallas deal was a shady dude.
I never added him. That's the thing. I just put a message out there. Just putting it out there.
I didn't see the message.
This is what they want. This is what they can do for us. Are we interested? And I put you in contact with him, me and you, so we could talk to this. Just talk to him. Just because you talk to somebody doesn't mean you're including them, doesn't mean that you're adding them. It just means that you're having a discussion to see, hey, maybe this is a good thing or maybe it's not. That's how you make decisions, is having a good a plan. You can't make a plan unless you actually talk to somebody. So, yes, I brought the guy in on a conversation because he shared me his phone number. Of course I did. Wouldn't I? So
that was the first time I'd ever heard of him is on the phone. I didn't see any chat or anything like that as far as that's concerned. Maybe you didn't know when you brought him in who he was because a lot of crap happened that night when he got on the page under his wife's name and put a GoFundMe page up, text Convoy to that. He gave you the Proton emails to get your Facebook back up, and then you had to go, and I went, but you know, that set real strong with me. But what really set
I wasn't involved in any of them setting up any funding.
I understand that. I understand that.
You and Dallas did that when I was off the phone. I don't know who did it. You're saying that he did it? I don't know. I don't know that.
No, he did it.
All I can tell you is that I wasn't involved in that aspect of it.
There's a whole lot of arguing here. But,
Neither was I. But at the end of the day, he was brought in. And, you know, that had me questioning you, Jeremy Johnson. And that had me questioning you. Now, when you and Tony called me, when you said something about that, and I'll be honest with you, I've been around this all my life. When you got mad and wouldn't even let me speak on that recording, you called me a piece of shit. You called me everything. I've got it all. It's all recorded. You wouldn't even let me talk. And, you know, Jeremy Johnson, hold on. No, when I mentioned Dallas, you went off the deep end.
You want me to release the video, or do you want me to release the recording? I will.
You can do whatever you want, and I'll release mine.
Because I'm a stand-up guy, I do things the right way. I don't try to slander somebody. But if you're going to be this guy right now that you are doing right now, I will release that recording so the whole world can hear, and they can hear that you were able to talk.
Okay.
And they can hear your responses, and it's not to make you look good. I can promise you that.
Release it then. I'll release mine, and we'll let them decide on it. Okay? I'll release mine. I'll release the recordings of Dallas that night. I'll release everything. I've got no problem. What I'm saying is, Jeremy, if you would have said, hey, I didn't know this guy. I brought him in, and I understand he started a GoFundMe page and stuff like that. I didn't know who the guy was. Can we rectify this? You didn't. You didn't do that at all. And that was my problem, is because at that point, I thought you were a part of it. So, you know, because it took them and Rose calling me that night, and Rose can vouch for this. She had to calm me down that night. I was so livid.
No, you called me and we spoke, and you called me and we spoke about it.
Chris put you on. Chris Coors called you and he said, "Be calm, be calm."
Yeah. Coors had it, and then he called me, and you guys were already on.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this right now, guys, and just from me sitting on the outside, shit went wrong in the beginning, okay, and it is what it is, and now we got shit going on yet again. Okay, the thing that gets me in the forefront of it all now is, okay, what happened with you guys? That happened. My thing is, now we're smack in the middle of something else.
Well,
You know what? Let me just say this, okay? Let's forget about the noise in the background. The he said, she said bullshit that we're talking about now, Brian. It doesn't matter at this point. You know what matters is I am on the ground here at the People's Convoy in Maryland. And I'm going to tell you guys, all of you, one thing. The other night when they were in Cambridge, Ohio, they filled up all the trucks. You know how much that fuel bill was? It was $69,000. So if you think that people are stealing from this, you're wrong. If you do, I'm not saying that you do. I'm just saying that.
Jeremy, my problem, you know me, Jeremy.
Let me just finish. When I've been down here, I've talked face to face with Brian Rossi. I've talked face to face with Mike Landis. I've talked face to face with every single person down there, except for Chris Young. She won't speak to me because she thinks whatever she thinks. I don't care. But the fact of the matter is, unless you're on the ground here and you see what is going on and what's really happening down here, you shouldn't be talking about anything going on with this convoy, because this convoy is amazing. The people I've met, the people I've shook hands with that have their children beside them with tears in their eyes saying thank you to the truckers. Just me as a regular guy, that what's going on down here is amazing. And the simple fact that we keep on getting caught up with this noise in the background from every Tom, Dick, and Harry that thinks they know what's going on. They don't. I've sat with Brian Rossi. I've sat with him in the motorhome, watching them plan and watch how many millions of directions he's getting torn. And Brian Hinson and myself included, and Jeremy Raywald, any of you guys, I'm going to tell you guys one thing right now. None of us would be able to handle what Brian Rossi is going through right now. I've witnessed it with my own two eyes, my own 2 ears. This guy is getting pulled in a million different directions. All the meanwhile, getting over 1,000 death threats. One guy even said, "I'm going to come up to you and I'm going to Bobby Kennedy you," which means he's going to come up to him in a crowded spot and shoot him in the chest with a handgun. That's the death threats he's been getting. I've gotten death threats, but nothing like Brian.
I don't think anybody's discrediting what the convoy has done.
They got rid of Lee Dundas because of I don't know what happened there.
Exactly.
Frankly, I don't want to know.
Well, you know what, Jeremy,
that these guys down there are working their tails off. They are doing the very best job they possibly can, and they deserve our support at this point. It's not about me. It's not about you, Brian, or it's not about you, Jeremy Raywald. It's about this movement, this People's Convoy, and the things that they're enduring to make this happen. And the amount of people that were there yesterday was
okay. I'm going to ask a question then, Johnson. What's the end goal? What's the end goal?
The end goal is to end the Emergency Powers Act.
Okay, John, would you like to elaborate on what the Emergency Power Act says? I know you've got to know a bunch of information on it.
Here's the problem, Jeremy Johnson, is there is no such thing as an Emergency Powers Act. I don't know where this comes from. I've researched this. Presidents have emergency powers, okay? They've had emergency powers for years. What happens is say like in World War II, President Roosevelt exercised emergency powers, incarcerated a bunch of Japanese folks who were Americans, which suspended their constitutional rights at that particular moment because of national security. So presidents have had the ability to exercise emergency powers forever and a day. So what happens is they become abusive with these things. So the Congress in 1970s created what's called the National Emergencies Act. And what that does is restrict the president's powers. So if you're asking to end the National Emergencies Act, what you're saying is you're going to give Biden more power than he already has. So the way the National Emergencies Act works is Congress reviews every 6 months the emergencies. And if they see there is no existing emergency, they can revoke it and stop it. So what you want to do is talk to Congress about the two. We got two emergency powers active right now, right? Executive orders. One in which requires every federal employee to be vaccinated, every contractor to be vaccinated. That's one executive order. And the other one is any foreigner coming in the United States of America. That means some Canadian truck drivers who need to deliver freight here have to be vaccinated. And it's interfering with commerce. It's not right, and it violates their right to medical freedoms. And that's what I was under the impression that this whole convoy was supposed to be about, was to help them and aid them so they don't have to suffer these grievances any longer.
But
Okay,
last
Tom,
week it was released on
thing
the
is
news
the
that
Senate
Rick DeSantis, excuse
I
me,
think
excuse
2
me,
nights ago. And now
excuse me.
it's going to go before Congress. And if they vote to end the Emergency Powers Act, Joe Biden has already publicly come out and said that he'll veto that. So
He can't.
that's what he said. I'm just going off of what he said. That's all I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
But it came out last week that Rick DeSantis introduced a bill, or is supposed to introduce a bill that's supposed to be called basically the Truckers Act, where they're going to drop all the mandates for the international and drivers and the United States drivers, so they don't have to worry about doing the vax mandate. Has anybody heard anything about that bill outside of it being published?
I haven't heard nothing about that, but I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to fill you in why I'm involved, okay? Because I went up to Pembina, North Dakota. Me and Tony did with Will Cook and a couple other people. We left Fargo. We went up Fargo with 4 trucks. We thinking it's just going to be 4 of us going to the border. It turned out to be 40 vehicles and about 100 people. In that convoy, we went up there with mostly personal vehicles, were families. Those families haven't seen their counterparts, their grandparents, in over 2 years because of the mandates between the borders, the international border between Canada and the United States. I listened to those little girls tell me how much they miss their grandparents, and I listened to the mom and dad, and I listened to those people up there, how they haven't, because of these mandates, because of this this coronavirus pandemic is what they're calling it. I've listened to Dr. Robert Malone over a Zoom call that I was involved with. Like I was literally face to face with Robert Malone, Dr. Robert Malone. Mm-hmm. The one doctor said on that Zoom call, they didn't kill 800,000 people. 800,000 people didn't die from the coronavirus. They murdered them because there are treatments out there, including hydrochloroquine and ivermectin. Ivermectin human tablet pills. Yes. And the media is going with it and calling it that's a horse medicine and and the left are running with that, laughing at people when it's proven that it works. Yes. Now there's a lady from South Dakota that called me that hasn't seen her family for a year and a half that lives in Canada. She was bawling on my radio show. Guys, this is bigger than me. This is bigger than us. It's bigger than I am here because of those people. I don't care who gets credit for what. I don't care who's the leader. I don't care who's in charge. I don't care who started this. I don't care. You know what I care about? That this stuff ends so people can get back to living their lives normal and seeing their families that they haven't seen for 2 years. That's why I'm here. And now I will shut up. I promise you. And Brian and Jeremy, listen, you guys, Jeremy Raywall especially, you know where my heart's at. Brian, I don't know if you know where my heart's at, but I know John Grubster knows where my heart's at. My heart is for the people.
Johnson,
and not here to take advantage of one person, and I will never take advantage of one person.
Jeremy Johnson. Are you there?
He's here.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right. Let me make it clear, okay? You know me, okay? I'm not there to tear anything down, okay? I watched it. You know where I've been from the beginning, okay? My problem is, okay, everybody says, forget the noise, forget the noise, forget the noise. I'm not taking anything from what they're doing down there and where their hearts are. My thing is, when you're sitting on the back end, okay, and we're damage control on this end, and we're not getting answers, and I'm speaking for myself. I'm not getting the right answers to the questions because I'm getting blown off. Okay, and I'm getting told, forget the noise, forget the noise. No, dude, it's out there. It's accountability. That's all I'm asking. Accountability. And that's all anyone's asking. You know, you got this one that walks away, nobody knows why. It's a big goddamn secret. You know, come on, man. You got the donate button. I'm not saying anything about the American people. I think that I wish someone would come in and right side it up, as I said in the beginning. If mistakes were made, man up. You know what I mean? Say mistakes were made and let's move forward and salvage it. You know, that's where I'm at with it because me personally, I've had it, man. I've been on the back end. My heart bleeds. I'm watching the comments. The American people are behind you guys. Okay. My problem is accountability. Okay. You can say what you want, but it's in black and white with all these things out there. Somebody address it. Somebody address it and calm the fucking storm.
Because there's storm brewing.
I'll tell you something. Being down there on the ground with those thousands of people, and I've heard that from you, Rose. I understand. I've listened to our we've had many conversations about that, and I agree that we're not getting communicated to. All that, I get that. I'm not trying to make excuses for it. All I can tell you now is I've sat with Brian personally, sat with him in that motorhome for 40, 45 minutes at a time or whatever it may be. And we've had some really good conversations, but during those conversations, like he's literally getting pulled in 30 million directions at the same time.
I get it.
While trying not to, knowing and understanding that he wants to talk to me and explain things. And you know what I did? I put my hand on Brian's shoulder and I said, listen, Brian, at this point, it doesn't matter. We're at our destination. There's people here that are ready and are willing to stand up. They support what's going on. At this point, my feelings don't matter no more. My hurt feelings or my disgruntled attitude or any of that don't matter anymore. What matters right now is that we give 1,000% support behind this movement, and we move forward together, and quit bad-mouthing each other or making accusations of this one or that one.
Nope. Nobody's making accusations at a certain person.
It goes to Jeremy Raywald. It goes to all of you. I don't want to get involved in a group of us throwing shit at each other. I don't want to do it. What I want to do is I want to support what's going on here, because what I see firsthand on the ground is the most amazing thing I have ever seen in my entire life. Just like I said, talking to the people that are down there that aren't even involved in this, that come down to show their support. It's amazing. And if you're not here, and if you were involved, Raywald, Hinson, you included, and Rose, get here now.
I can't get there. You know why, Jeremy? Honest to God,
I'll be the first one.
I cannot get there. And I'm going to tell you my personal reason why. And it's not to tear anything down. And it's not about hurt feelings. Okay, I watched it from the beginning.
Stop then, Rose. Stop right now. Just stop.
I have answers. I can't support something that I don't have answers for.
Okay, now, Jeremy, you had a chance to say your piece. Now you let her say hers.
I'm not trying to put you down because I love you, Rose. But honestly, get down here. I'll shake your hand.
Look, I don't have any problems with anybody down there. I don't have a problem with anybody down there, okay? What I have a problem with is my moral compass right now, okay? I get everybody supportive. I get you guys are seeing all the great things. I'm watching it from the opposite end. I agree. It's awesome. It's great. I wish I could be there. What my problem is, Jeremy, okay, and it's my problem maybe, and maybe somebody, if they could explain it to me, I'd be more on board. My problem is I'm not forgetting the noise that's out there with articles that are out there. Do I grant they're struggling? Yes. I'll say it like I said it before. If they made a mistake with aligning with certain people, then you know what? Be man enough to make a post about it. Let's get over this shit and move forward in a positive way. But nobody's coming concrete with answers or anything to settle the masses, which needs to be done. Bottom line, accountability.
That we've made mistakes throughout all this. They know that. And they have righted those wrongs according to what the mistakes they felt were wrong. And honestly, like Lee Dundas being axed in Indianapolis, the main finance guy that was head of the donations, he's gone also because there was some bad stuff with him, some bad juju or whatever you want to call it. Basically all I'm saying, my message to you guys is just get down here, see it for your. Yeah, I don't even personally don't understand all of what went down, and I don't want to, and I don't need to. What I do know is what I see on the ground firsthand. And that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in all the donated water. You know what I did this morning? I loaded up the back of my Escalade with about 20 cases of water and 2 cases of paper towels, and I drove down to the truck stop, and I started handing it out to truckers because that's how much stuff is being donated, more than we could ever need involved in this.
Okay. With that said,
we want to be the people's convoy. And if you're going to be a part of the people's convoy, then be about the people. It's not about me.
I would have no problem being behind the people, Jeremy. Give me 5 minutes to speak. My problem is this, okay? You just said they got rid of the guy that was handling the money. Great. They're going to restructure. Freaking awesome. I don't have a problem with that. I'm hearing that from you, okay? There's a lot of people in the background that don't know that. Like I said, it was all about freedom. Nobody should be fighting over anything because it's all about freedom. My thing is, we were supposed to, in the beginning, not be one side or the other, roll middle of the road. That's what it was. I wasn't seeing that. That got corrected. Great. Not a problem. My thing is now accountability. Are them guys going to hunker in and stay? Because as far as I'm concerned, all them donations, okay, being brought in to support these truckers and support these guys for the long haul, just like they did in Canada, because that's how it all started. Okay, all these supplies are supposed to bolster and move forward these guys to get them to stay until something's accomplished. Okay, I'm not going to forget the noise, okay, because there's no answers coming from the ones that run it. Does it trickle down? Yeah, it does. Well, then explain to me, okay, or put a live out and explain it and answer the hard questions. Jeremy, you know how I am. I'm not here to tear anything down, okay? I'm not about that. I'm about to try and salvage and move forward. But when you're on my end and I got to go to bed at night watching all the great things that are happening, watching all the great comments that are coming through, and my gut ain't right. Because there's no end game as to, are they hunkering in? Are they staying? Are they doing this? What is it?
Are you wanting me to speak now?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. I was just trying to be respectful and let you finish. But basically, I'm going to go back to this. Brian Henson, Jeremy Raywald, you included Rose. All I'm telling you is just to get here, just to be a part of this, because you deserve to be a part of it. Whether we have disagreements or we don't like each other or whatever, and including you, John, I'm just telling all of you, just get here and be here and experience this with your own 2 eyes in 2 years. It's amazing. I don't give a shit. I really don't care about anything else anymore. I don't care about the arguments I've had with people. I don't care of the shit that I had to go through that drug me through the mud 1,000 times over. The countless hours of sleep I lost because I couldn't sleep at night because it affected me so negatively. I don't care about that anymore. And Tony's on here, by the way, and he hasn't spoken. He said he wasn't going to speak, and he probably won't, but unless he wants to. But he could attest to the fact that this probably took off 20 years off of my lifespan because it's been trying to put out the fires that I've literally had conversations on the phone for 4 to 6 to 8 to 10 to 12 hours that didn't lead anywhere. All it was people on there telling me how pissed off they were when I was pissed off right alongside you. But at this point, it doesn't matter what happened from right now at what is it, 9:10 Eastern time. From right now, before now, doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that there is a large group of people sitting down at this speedway right now that are all in the same mindset of let's get it done.
But what's the end goal?
Everybody should be here.
What is the end goal? And Jeremy, let me jump in here for a minute. Johnson, look, I will tell you right now. Okay, the night that Dallas was done, you should have called me and said, "Look, I fucked up. I didn't know who he was, vice versa, and maybe you didn't know who he was because I'm the one that put you in touch with him." That's all you had to do. And instead of trying to cover.
I admitted that on a phone call with you, Brian, that I put that message out there in the messenger asking the group.
I never did see that message. All I saw was a phone call. Hold on, give me a minute. All I got
I'm sorry.
was the phone call. That is it. And I thought Dallas was a driver. Okay. And then you got on the phone. He gave you your Proton email.
Brian, why does it matter right now? What I just got done explaining this.
Stop.
That doesn't matter anymore.
Stop. Stop.
You know what matters? You're butthurt over it. That's what's wrong with it.
No, I'm not.
On something that he's not even involved, and you're still focusing on it. Who gives a shit?
Calm down.
Brian.
Let me get my time in. Hold on.
Brian. It's Jeremy, not Johnson.
Okay.
Let's not worry about the Dallas dude. Let's not worry about any of that. But I will want to. I do want to address. I do want to address Johnson though. I'm with you. Get down there. Okay. A lot of people want to get behind this and get down there, as you want us to be down there. But the problem that Rose and myself and a lot of people are having is we always come and ask, what is the end goal? And I know, yes, everything down there is brilliant. The people standing up with the truckers is wonderful. But the problem is what happens when nothing gets done, the end goal wasn't clear, and you let all of them down. That's what Rose's biggest issue is, the back end of this.
They're not leaving.
You're not going to D.C. either. Let's be honest about it. You're not going into D.C. either. So what's the point? A big party that America's got behind.
That's what it is.
What big party? What are you talking about?
That's what you're talking about. Get down there. Get down there for what? For what? The party?
You know what? Then don't come down here.
Okay, wait, hold on, guys, hold on. Basically, what Jeremy is doing, he's addressing the question I asked earlier. There's no lobby for this. The only lobby we have are the people. What he's saying is the more people we can get involved, the bigger the lobby, because we don't have a membership base in this. So he's saying by volumizing our population down there in D.C. is going to make a stronger president, be more influential to members of Congress. Am I wrong in that, Jeremy Johnson?
No, I think you're right in that. The more people we get down here, the more people that are involved, and the more people that are just unified. And you know what? Like I said, Brian Henson, Jeremy Raywell, come down, shake my hand. You know what? I don't give a flying F what has happened before now. I don't care no more. I don't care, because what I've witnessed again is amazing. And I would love for both of you and Rose, all of you guys, and John, to just witness this, because it's you'll never be involved in something like this ever again. I promise you that.
I got to tell you, I'm sitting here on the outside looking in, Jeremy Johnson, and I think what I'm seeing is amazing. I think I'm seeing a great movement in this country, and I think this is the beginning of something. If we keep the momentum up, this is the beginning of something great. I think this is going to be something that you're going to have to keep returning to, because we're in dire straits with our government right now. We got more than just these mandates to worry about. These mandates will go away on their own eventually. But what about the election fraud? What about the corruption in government? What about the things Congress refuses to address? What's that,
Bingo, brother?
Johnson?
Bingo. No, you're absolutely correct. What this convoy started for and what they're focusing on is what I told you before. But this is going to turn out to be way bigger than just that. I can tell you that by the numerous conversations I've had on the ground here in Hagerstown. This is huge, and the people that I've talked to, and I'm not trying to brag. I'm just going to tell you they have a lot of influence with a lot of large name people, and the things that I'm hearing, some of them disturb me, some of them don't. I try to filter out all of it and just take all of this in. At this point, I'm in observation mode. I'm obviously not a leader in any of this. I'm just a guy that I'm Jeremy Johnson, the disrespected trucker that drove down to DC on his own dime, by the way. I did get $250 donated from somebody. I will disclose that. There's been numerous other people that offered to give me money, and I've turned them down. And Tony was on the phone with me when they offered me $1,000, and I turned them down. So I want you people to know that, all of you, the listeners, and Brian and Jeremy, all of you. I have always done things out of my own wallet. And I'm telling you right now, I couldn't be more proud of what's going on. And Brian, I'll give you credit where credit is due. You changed the name of your Facebook group to Convoy to DC 2022, and it took off like a bat out of hell. And you trusted me enough to add me in as an admin on that group. And I told you need to trust me. And I added Brian Brazzi. I added Mike Landis. I added Tony. I added numerous people to that I've had contact with in the past. And things took off so fast and so crazy. And I was actually in their intel said that I was actually in contact with Antifa. And I'm not so sure that Dallas guy wasn't Antifa. Brian, you might be right. You might be wrong. I don't know. I don't know that answer. All I know is that we were in contact with Antifa, but we didn't even know that we were. Leadership in Antifa. They were trying to get intel on this whole movement. That's why they axed me from all of it, because I was compromised. And there was numerous other people that have been axed along the way because they were compromised. So we just have to understand, and I get it now, they're doing things in the best interest to get this movement continuing, to keep it going the way it is. And for me personally, being like with you, Brian, to where we are, where we're at today, like you and I were the head names of this at one point. And then it turned into Brian Brazzi doing an interview with Hannity, and then it turned into, Brian Brazzi's the leader. And then Mike Landis, and it doesn't matter whose name is at the front anymore. It truly doesn't. What matters right now, and I've said this a million times since I've been here, is where we're at now. And when I was walking around with Brian, when he had a few minutes, me and him and Jerry, by the way, is a freaking spectacular dude. He's the Polish guy from Chicago that gets the big slow rolls going up in Chicago. That guy is phenomenal. He's awesome. But anyway, when I was walking around with Brian would introduce, people to recognize Brian because of the news. Thank you so much for doing this. And he'd stop them and he'd say, Jeremy was, one of the original, organizers of this. He doesn't take the credit that everybody thinks that he's just taking all the credit and all the glory. It's not about that to him. It truly ain't. I talked to him for 45 minutes this morning alone, him and his girlfriend. And it was a down-to-earth conversation. Brian is not prideful. He is not out here gloating. He's a man on a mission that is doing a phenomenal job, in my opinion, after witnessing it with my own two eyes. Even though I feel like I'm not getting the information I think I deserve or I need, I don't give a shit anymore. After I've seen what he's going through, this thing is amazing. And I truly mean that. You, Brian, and Jeremy Raywell, and all of you guys, everyone that's listening, just get down here. I'll show it to you firsthand.
Johnson, do you understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the National Emergencies Act?
Yeah, I do. I do understand that, John, but it's not. I don't think that it's as simple as what you said it is.
It quite actually, when you're talking about, we talk about executive orders.
I'm not calling you a dummy either, John, because I know you're a smart man. I'm just saying.
I understand that. What I'm getting at here is I wanted you to understand this, because there's no such thing as an Emergency Powers Act. There isn't any. I've done my research on it. There is no such act. But the National Emergencies Act exists, and I want you to understand this because I feel like you're in contact with Brian and Mike, and I'm sure if anybody's going to talk to any members of Congress, those are the two that's going to be present. Of a couple more, I'm sure. But the point is, under joint resolution, our members of Congress, that means the House and the Senate, they can end the executive orders. They can end the emergency powers that are being exercised. That's how the system works. And I think it's important that you guys understand this because you need to know what you're going in for.
Oh, okay. So tell me what did the Senate pass the other night, 2 nights ago, to end the Emergency Powers Act over the COVID?
They might be talking about emergency powers, but there's no Emergency Powers Act I can find. There's a National Emergencies Act. And this is the problem with the communications. That's what we were talking about earlier. Rose was elaborating on it. Several others were elaborating on it. There's a problem with the communications, and people. Basically what you guys need is a PR person that's just focused in on being able to. That you guys, when you have your meetings, you gather your information together. You go to this person. You sit down the same way the president does with Circle Back Jen. And you have that person that goes to the media, that goes to people and says, okay, this is where we're at, and explains it to them in detail, so we can get a better line of communication. Because if there's a breakdown in communication, that creates confusion. And when you want everybody to come to DC and support you in this thing, they're confused as to why. I see Charles here is asking what's the plan if they get nothing. There's some people that feel like there's no end game here. We've heard that from several people here in the panel. And I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm not saying there's no win game. I'm saying they have these concerns because there's been some lack of communication. It's hard for people to support if they don't feel the confidence, is what I'm getting at here.
But it goes back to what I was saying before about the families that we met up in Pembina, North Dakota, the lady that they call us in South Dakota. There's no reason that families are not being able to see their family members across the border. And that has to do with Justin Trudeau's policies also. But it just started. You all know that. I know that. We have to continue this until those families can see their family members again, like right now. And did you know that 22 states have already started passing legislation on vaccine passports? Are you guys aware of that at all, or no?
Heard about some of that.
I'm aware of it. My governor's leading the charge up here in Washington State.
They're doing shit in the background that we don't even know about. Well, I mean, we know about it, but the media's not covering it.
You know, as much
the media's not covering a lot of things,
and so is the government.
Well, my thing is,
they're doing shady shit, guys.
I want to address a circumstance here. David's been saying this for quite some time during the course of this, and no disagreements here with you at all, David. He says that people should shut down. Truck drivers should shut down. By all means, guys, take it into your own hands in those regards. If you want to shut down in support of this and you can't go there and be there as a part of it, shut them down. By all means. But don't just shut them down. I really hate this. Let's all just shut down and go home. You'll turn that key to the left. They're not going to know that you're shut down if you don't take the time to construct a letter and send it into your members of Congress saying, I support the People's Convoy. I have shut my truck down until action is taken. You got to contact your members of Congress when you take action so they know what's going on with you.
but to make change, John, you know, it starts with your states, and we, you know, this. You've got to start with your states first in order for anything to take place in DC, because those are our go-tos. Those are the ones that go in with the bills and with the papers that they need to place in front. Because you going into DC to do something and it's a state level issue, they're going to slap the 10th Amendment and say, hey, you just came on here. You just, what do you want us to do? And so therefore, it's a state issue in order to get anything taken care of up there. So if you get all the states on board, then changes make happen.
You're not at all wrong. But first thing about the 10th Amendment, the 10th Amendment covers all laws because of the supremacy clause of the U.S. Constitution. The 10th Amendment covers all laws that are not covered by the federal government due to the supremacy clause. Now, state governments do have influence in D.C., but what you got to realize is parties are in control.
Yep.
And that's one of our biggest obstacles in everything that we've attempted to do in trucking, we've attempted to do in politics, and we've seen that with the Democrat Party here with Senator Sinema not that long ago. What happens when the party decides they're going to censor a U.S. senator because she didn't vote the partisan on the partisan line. So now they're not going to fund her. They're not going to support her. They basically ousted her. And what they said was, and the write-up was, we have to look out for the interest of our constituents. Well, who are their constituents? Because the last I checked, the voters were the constituents to a U.S. senator. But
100.
the very definition of the word constituency, the constituents to the party are those who are funding the party. So when you got BLM with their millions and millions of dollars, they're influencing the party. When you've got corporations with their millions and millions of dollars, they're influencing the party. You, the little peon truck driver voter out there, don't have any influence because basically what are you giving? A couple $100 a year or something towards the party. They basically blow us off. And that's our biggest obstacle. That's our biggest problem is the fucking parties within themselves are screwing the American people over. And this is why members of Congress are getting away with the horseshit that they're getting away with.
You're 100. You're 100% right there. And I wish I could be a part of this movement. I really do. But the message has been changed so many times with no end goal. And the American people are starting to see that. And I'm from the outside looking in because I'm not a part of it. But when these people are calling me going, why are they in a $2 million bus? Why are they? I said, it's not a $2 million bus. It is a tour bus. It's about $1 million to $1.5 million. So when people see that, they don't like that. They don't like the fact that, why are they in? And this is not me. This is not coming from me. Okay. I have spoken for the people that have asked these questions, and they've asked me because my face was the original one that went viral, and they're still in contact. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And so when the message gets changed several times on the way to DC, people start wondering what's going on. Now, do I think what I see is beautiful? Is beautiful? Absolutely, it's beautiful. All the people on the bridges and coming together. But at the end of the day, the message that they have been portrayed on the website and everything is, we are going to DC. We're going to DC. But that message has not been fulfilled. Now, Canada, let me go back to Canada. When they started theirs, their end goal was to go there. They started out with what? I may be wrong, 14 trucks and one had to go to work. And by the time they got there, you had some bad players come into the game. Okay. There's a reason why that GoFundMe was seized. And that's all I can say about it. There's a reason why. It'll come out later. That's not for me to put out. But these guys went there for a reason to drop. And they said, we're going there and we were shutting down and we're not going to cause any problems. And if they arrest you, put your hands behind your back and eat it and go on with it. And that's what they did. And what Americans are seeing now that I'm getting replies back to are, hey, why is the message changing? Why are they not going? Why are we there? Why is she involved? Why are they involved? So that's what that's what I've been saying that's shady about it. And it's not maybe so shady is what I'm saying. It's what people are seeing actually. And in the end goal, the people are going, why are we not in DC? Why was the fundraising stopped at $1.5 million and it's not being construed upwards? It just stopped one day and it stayed there. That's not my problem. That's not me. But, I hope the money goes where it needs to go. I do. But the thing about it is at the end of the day, when you look at this from the outside looking in, now would have I done this differently? Yes, I would have. I would have done it differently. But at the end of the day, the message has changed so many times. And today, what they saw from what I've heard is they only lapped DC twice. I may be wrong, and went back to a racetrack. That's what I've heard. I don't know.
That's what they did. Now, in all fairness, I had 2 points of issue here. I lost one of them already. But what we've seen in Canada is people got arrested. What we've seen in Canada is people's assets got frozen. What we've seen in Canada is under emergency powers, constitutional rights got suspended, and the very same thing can happen here in the United States. So I think they have a concern how they're going to address their issues while at the same time not having their trucks impounded, not having their rights infringed upon. And I wouldn't put it past this administration in those regards, because what we've seen in the buildup of this, as they were coming across the country, is our federal government started already labeling these guys as insurgents. They started labeling these guys as patriots. They love to use that term patriots, and that means evil people to them. So I can understand their concerns that they're trying to reach out to DC and they're trying to get DC's attention without actually having DC throw them in jail for 4.5 years, like they did Jacob Chansley.
Well, yeah, you're right. And, the thing is, yes, maybe people messed up in the beginning, and Jeremy said, okay, some people got invaded with people, and that's what happened with this Dallas guy. And I think Jeremy, let me get it straight. I think Jeremy at heart does have a good heart of where he wants to go. I honestly do. Okay. Do I have anything bad to say to Jeremy? No. I wish he would come up and said, whoops, we made a boo-boo. This is all there is to it. And I would have been done with that part. That's fine. But, you have to look at it when there's so much that has happened between the 23rd and now that the people don't understand exactly what's going on, because they're looking at DC going, where are the trucks? Because that's what the majority of Americans are expecting to see, and they have yet to see it. But even on the website and everywhere else and on the news, and even what the convoy is putting out, is they're going to DC. But from inside from the 23rd, inside the group in California, Leah Dundas said, we are not going to DC. Well, I'm going to tell you, I don't want no part of Leah Dundas at all, or her group.
Right?
Huh?
I said, right? She's not good people, man. She's nuts.
And that's the reason why when Dallas hit it, and Jeremy said he called Leah Dundas, Jeremy Johnson said he called Leah Dundas, and then that happened to me that night. I was done. And, maybe Jeremy Johnson did not know who he was talking to. I'm open-minded enough to see that. But, if you make a mistake, say, oops, I made a mistake. I didn't know. I'm sorry, and move on. Maybe I would still be involved in this movement. But I had to back away, because when you saw Dallas, and then Dallas added Chris Young as a moderator to this group, now I see the connection. And Dallas added this Chris Young to my group, and then I've got screenshots of it. And that's what I said, hold on a second. We've got a major issue already. And I had to back away from it. And it's not because I wanted to, it's because I had to, because something was going on that I did not like and I did not have control of, even though the beginning was everybody was looking for the individual face. Luckily, Brian got on there and the face changed to him. That's good and fine. I'm fine with that. It doesn't matter who is in charge, but what the end goal is. What is the end goal? What is the end goal? Canada went up there and stood their ground and still are today. Now, are there people in Canada in jail right now? Yes, there is. Yeah. I'm not able to speak about that, but there's a reason why those funds got seized. I will just say that. And I will just say certain people in that convoy that even went to jail aren't allowed to talk about it, and it will come out in the future. And when you have a lot of movements that it is this big, you get a lot of bad actors everywhere. You get a lot of them. And it has nothing to do with the groups. And sometimes the groups get so fast, so busy, they don't think before they bring someone in, and then you're composed. And you've got to have a steady agreement, a roundtable discussion. You know, when we did that in the stores that I was in charge of and the people I were in charge of, 4,000 people, we had to turn around and have discussion. I mean, we had meetings at certain times. We had it on a memorandum. We had it, everything was written out, what we were going to discuss at what times, and everybody would take care of it. And at the end, we would hash out who needed to take care of what. And if that would have went this way on this end, I think we would have seen a different outcome on this convoy right now. But the thing is, people are too scared to go to DC. But why? If it was my movement, and say I even got back involved, you know, I would have to be willing to say, okay, I will get back involved, and I'm willing to go to jail for the freedom of every American and my kids. That is something Canada has done. And yes, they've gotten arrested. And yes, a lot of people have gone outside that are in law enforcement, outside of the realms of what the law was initially designed for and intended for. And that is the same problem we are fighting in politics, is the corruption of politicians that people voted in that are paid for by big corporate. And you won't get away with that until the people stand up. Not a damn thing in this world is going to change. And far as I'm seeing this convoy, yes, seeing the people on the bridges is amazing. Seeing the people giving is amazing. Seeing the people there is amazing. Seeing all the other trucks joining the line as they're going to drop their destination, then get off at their exit so they can go drop their load and get reloaded. That is amazing. Okay. That is absolutely amazing. That's patriotism. But where in the hell does patriotism come in at? You've got to go to the end game. You've got to know the end game. You've got to know where you're going to, and you cannot turn around from that movement and do something else, or people are never going to trust you again. And that is the problem that everybody's having with this, and they're seeing this. Now, I'm not saying anybody's bad at all. You know, yes, maybe some people got brought in, but right now, what it looks like to everybody that this is a money run. That's what they're looking at. I'm not even saying that. I'm saying that's what I'm seeing, but I'm seeing that. But when people are calling me by the hundreds going, this ain't nothing but a money run. I hope to God it's not. I hope to God it's not. Because you have people gave to this convoy thinking you're going to DC to stay there to fight what is going on in politics in general and what's wrong with America, period. And that's not being done. And these people are getting mad now going, they're not going to DC. I gave $1,000. I'm not even involved in that anymore. But yeah, I still get.
Am I still mic'd up?
What's that, John?
Huh?
Yeah. You guys do know that they went to the Beltway today, right?
Well, yeah, and they're mad about that. They thought they were going into DC. They told them the other day that they were going to go into Virginia and stay and not go to DC. Then all of a sudden they're going around the Beltway.
Why are we worried about what people think they're going to do or what they say they're going to do? The same people that have never been involved in anything, have never stood up for anything, and now they're quick to criticize every move that somebody else makes. All it is drama that people create. They're not here. They're not doing anything for themselves. They're criticizing the very people that are standing up for them. They went to the DC Beltway today, and they went around the loop. And they were 62 miles long, spread out, of course, but they were 62 miles long. There was cops at every single overpass making damn sure they didn't get off, number one. Number two, Antifa showed up and started throwing stuff off the overpasses onto the trucks, and they were arrested, by the way. I'm just telling you guys that the noise in the background, you guys got to quit listening to the negativity and just go into it with a positive attitude and say, you know what? They're doing something. They're here. They're all here. And you know what? Kip, I guess, according to what I've been hearing, he's a big group out of Virginia right now, has meetings with senators and congressmen starting tomorrow for 2 days. And Brian and those guys, I haven't been able to confirm this, but they are in talks with numerous politicians also. So this isn't, I've said this a million times, and I hate to say it for the second million time. This isn't McDonald's drive-through. You're not going to get your cheeseburger in a minute. You have to be patient. At this point, the government knows everybody's here. They know the convoys that are coming. The rest of the convoys haven't even joined Kip's group or our group yet, and there's over 1,000 trucks involved in those. Wait until the people get here. All the people that have left, that haven't even gotten here yet, wait until the groups start coming together and you see them converge on DC. Then wait for them to start to squirm. Because I'm telling you right now, they are keeping a very close eye on everybody right now. So at this point, all I'm going to say to you guys, and I'm not going to criticize you, I'm just going to tell you this: be patient, smile, and enjoy the show because it's amazing.
So, one of the things you're getting at here is we're in a situation where you can't please all the people's situation. So Johnson, are you willing to go to DC if a group of people want to go in? Are you willing to go there?
I'm not going to DC. Hell no.
You don't want to go to DC. How about you, Jeremy Raywall? Would you go to DC? He's muted. Since he's not answering, Ryan Von D, would you go to DC?
If I was involved in the movement and the original message was never changed, absolutely.
That's not the question, though. The question is right now, would you go into DC?
Would I go into DC? Yes.
Then come here and go into DC then.
Sean, how about you? Would you go to DC?
Yes, I would.
Dan, your mic is open. If you want to say something, man, answer that question as well. Would you go to DC?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go to DC. I don't have a problem going to DC right now at all. I don't have a problem at all. All I'm saying is this: is everybody, Rose is trying to get this point across, and I just want people to understand. Me and Rose are not downplaying the movement. We're totally against the freaking. We're totally for the joy and the happiness and all the stuff that's going on. That's what we're all about. Yes, but the problem is this. These girls have been busting their asses, as well as me trying to find out information to relay to them. We've been busting our asses for, what is this, day 12, I think now, since this thing kicked off. Working the background, trying to take all the negativity, shutting it down so it doesn't snowball and destroy what's going on. Everybody says ignore the noise, ignore the noise, ignore the noise. I understand what you're saying, but you can't do that. There's got to be a group of people to take care of the noise and crush it so that it doesn't snowball into a massive freaking ball of shit that's going to come down and land right on top of the movement, destroy it before it gets its mission accomplished. We're not telling the people there on the ground that they have to take care of the issues. All they got to do is tell us what's going on, how it's going, make a public statement that we can push out, that we can shut down the noise. We got a way to answer all these bad things that are coming in and say, no, that's not what's going on. This is how it happened, blah, 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 blah. But that's what we're trying to get across, and we just need that. Because we're losing our shit. We're losing our minds. We're stressed. I mean, stop and think here. You had Scott had a heart attack last Sunday before he went in and got that all fixed. You've had other people that have other problems, physical problems come back, health problems come back because of all of this. It's the stress that's dealing with the noise because somebody's got to deal with it. And the problem is we're not the people they want to hear from. They want to hear from the boys, those two faces that everybody's seen on the media, those two faces that have been the men behind the show that everybody sees, the big decision makers that everybody knows. They want answers from them. And until we can get them to come out live, I don't care if they do it in the bus. They don't even have to do it out in public. Sit down in the bus, go on a Facebook Live, do a Facebook Live, and freaking tell the American people what has went down and put it in the situation it is. Because when you got shit going on the New York Post, when you got stuff going into the Independent, when you got stuff going on Freightways, freaking turning all the dirty damn laundry out, on this freaking convoy and what's going on, people freaking think, oh shit, something don't sound right here. And they start freaking snowballing that shit into something bigger. So the only way to keep this thing moving and get more people on board, you can sell this the greatest thing in the world, but when they're seeing from the New York Post, the Independent, and Freightwaves, this big old wad of shit over here to the side, they're like, what's going on? Do we get involved? Those boys need to fucking crush that and put it out there and say what happened so that we can do our job on the backside to correct it, to keep people going. And Jeremy, you keep saying they don't need to do a goddamn thing. If they don't need to do that, if they don't do that, then it ain't going to amount to a pile of shit, because you got 535 fucking people sitting in Washington, D.C. that look at the Washington Post, the Independent, the Freightwaves, and every other freaking news outlet out there. They don't give two shits what people on the ground are doing. They worry about what them news media is doing. And them news media are putting a lot of shit out there.
So what everybody else is saying either. They're not either.
I don't know, but I think somebody better cool it before they end up having a heart attack like Scott Reed.
That ain't great. What I'm saying is the people from the outside looking in are seeing
what other people's opinion is. Who cares? Why are you guys so worried about what everybody else says?
So
Jesus
because
Christ,
the American people fucking care.
So basically,
the American people are who you're trying to get. Those other people.
I told you should have kept this loose.
You got one way to get them.
You're talking about a group of 5,000 people or 10,000 people. That is not the American people. That is a group of partisan 5,000 or 10,000 people. The people that the American people are down at that convoy right now. I watched them yesterday. I talked to a lot of them yesterday, shook their hand, said I thanked them for being there. Those are the people that get it. The people that you are focused on are people that don't get it. That all they do is look at social media and look for the drama and the bullshit and the noise. Well, I've been saying this from the very beginning, and Daniel, you're still buying into the goddamn noise. I don't get it.
I'm not buying into the fucking noise.
You are, because you're being emotional about them having to do something that they frankly don't need to do.
So
they're doing what they need to do.
So gentlemen,
the fucking noise, but I want to stop the noise from adding more noise to it. There's a big fucking difference. And you got 3 million people that are freaking
Dan,
what's being posted. You want to get them on board, well, then you got to have something to counteract what they're seeing from the Washington Post.
Dan, you got to get yourself under control, man.
They're already here. You're adding to the noise, Daniel.
Mute him, John.
Can I say something? Can I say something?
Out there to put the noise in, to shut the noise down, because they're seeing the noise and they're thinking, "Oh my gosh, what happened? What happened? What happened? Why this happened? Why this happened?" I'm not making the noise. The Washington Post made the fucking noise. I'm trying to figure out a way to put something out there.
Hey, Dan, I got to mute you out, brother. I just got to. You got to give me my show back, man. Listen, what's happening is
Sorry, John.
Lee Dundas left this fight, right? And we noticed, or I noticed, when she left this fight, the news media started turning on this convoy. That's what I saw. The news media, I don't know if she was doing this or if it was just the timing, but the news media was covering this quite well, and they were doing an adequate job, I thought, and they seemed to be in favor for it a lot. And all of a sudden, when she left, you started getting this negative news articles coming out, putting the convoy down, and this is what it's come into. Now you got Dan blowing up over it, going the noise that you're talking about.
He's going to be sitting next to Scott Reed. He keeps going.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by Scott Reed, but
well, he said Scotty just had a heart attack last week.
What?
He's down there.
Reed is?
Yeah, Chris Young's husband had a heart attack last week.
Oh,
had emergency surgery.
Oh, okay.
And he's doing okay. He's down there.
I was gonna say, I think I'd heard about Scotty. I'll open up Dan's mic again. I think he's probably got himself.
Well, but I am gonna bring up something that nobody's talked about tonight. Not one person's talked about tonight. So we've all been petitioning our senators and our congressmen, and I've even went to a couple other people out of state to even try to have a little bit of luck. And I have a little bit of luck out west. But here's the question. Did anybody ever think about why they may not want to get involved? Because I can give you two reasons, and the name's Brian Babin and for one, and Jim Jordan for another. Those two representatives got hammered so damn bad by the trucking industry, you can't get them to talk about trucking anymore.
Well, he is. I'm gonna be honest. With the knowledge that I
I
know,
made a phone call to Ted Cruz's office. I never got a return call. I did see that Rand Paul come out and said that he hopes the truckers convoy clogs up every United States city. But
I saw that.
Listen, at this point too, again, Kip has contacts that he is going to be talking to, and so does Brazi and the leaders of the People's Convoy.
And if they get that done, I congratulate them. I really do. I congratulate them for making that effort to get in touch. God knows, John knows I've tried to call a few of them for the shows.
Well, here's the problem, and it goes into why I jumped out. And I understand Coors where he's coming from to shut the noise up. And I'm gonna be honest with you. The only way you're gonna shut it up is go back to the original message and do what you told to do. Do what you were do what you told the people you were gonna do. Period. Open those books up so people know they're given to the right reasons. Open the ledger up where people can see it. Open everything up. That's the only way you're going to do damage control. Because when I came in, when Coors called me and put Rose on the phone, I saw nothing but a shit show fixing to take place. And when you're on the outside looking in, and I had to step away from it to depart myself from it. And I know Jeremy's got a heart. Johnson has a heart deep down inside. I know that. I know that. Jeremy, I know that about you. Okay? And all it would have taken, like I said, forget that. You did say tonight you made a mistake on the radio. I understand that. We're past that. Okay? Open the fucking books up so people can see what they're given to and what y'all are paying out, and go do what you were do what you said you were going to do in the beginning. The same with my movement. When I started it, it took 3 weeks to get it to go viral. And then I brought Jeremy Johnson in, and he brought all y'all in, and everything was so disorganized, there wasn't a time to even meet. But, it's a great thing seeing the people. But fucking finish the job and finish it right, as long as it's legal and as long as nobody means any harm to anybody or in D.C., and as long as nobody has any intent to go in any building down there. It is your right. Your right to constitutionally protest this government. And I would have been in it and stayed in it if the shit didn't get bouncy. And Coors and Rose had to calm me down, and so did Coors that night. You remember that? Do you remember the phone call? But no, I got turned into the bad person.
Listen, we know that it's our constitutional right to go to D.C. We were there in 2020, but this is a different era of America that people don't understand. This administration, this isn't like something that we've ever seen in this country for a very, very long time. As a matter of fact, this administration is probably very close to what we've seen prior to 1776. This administration is
corrupt. Won't ever happen.
They have weaponized the FBI, the CIA. They have weaponized government agencies against the American people. You've all witnessed parents going into a PTA meeting labeled as domestic terrorists because they were standing up for their children. This is a different DC than what we're used to, and frankly, like when I said I would not go to DC. You know why I won't go to DC? Because I know this. I know that this administration, they are salivating at the fact that if Jeremy Johnson comes into federal territory, we take that son of a bitch down because I'm a loudmouth. And they know that. That's why I got banned off of Facebook. I'm a loudmouth. I say what I mean. I mean what I say.
I still haven't seen that video.
I was talking about earlier, I'll tell you exactly what I said, And before I do, I'm going to tell you, I've heard literally a dozen other people say the exact same thing that are still on social media. And that thing that I said, when the government complies to the American citizens, then we all get back to normal. And I said, this is a message to the government. That's what I said. And I do not recant what I said. It was not meant as a threat. It was meant as what I mean. And I mean, when the government complies to the American people, then we go away. We go back to doing what we did. No harm, no foul. Everything is gone. It's we the people, not we the government, like Joe Biden said in a speech that I listened to with my own 2 ears.
Okay,
Well,
I'm going to say one thing, and then I'm
what I feel is wrong. I'm not saying I'm going in there with an AK-47 or weapons or anything. I never said that. Never have, never will. I've always stood up peacefully, but I have always said what is on my mind, and I will not stop speaking what's on my mind now because somebody said, if you do this, I'm going to kill you. Well, I don't respond well to threats, number one. Number two, I have a right to freedom of speech. And number three, I have a right to peacefully assemble. However, I'm not dumb enough to understand, to not know that if I go into D.C., they're so corrupt that they'll take me down. And under the Emergency Powers Act that they are currently running under, I will end up like the 6 protesters. They will call me a domestic terrorist. I will not get due process, and I will be sitting there as a political prisoner for the next however long.
nobody outside that Capitol on January 6th.
If they were witty enough to steal a presidential election, do you think 2022 elections, midterms, are going to be any different? They're already pushing the mail-in ballot. I'm not
agree.
willing to take that chance.
hold on, guys, because I got one thing to say. Okay, there's never have we ever won a war without casualties. I agree, Jeremy. DC is not friendly. Okay, going into DC is not smart. I'm just hoping and praying, okay, that if it's reverting back to what it was in the very beginning, which is stand and not move, I'm down. Okay, I'm down. I'm not trying to destroy anything. But like I was saying before, when you're sitting on the back ass end of this shit, okay, and I don't want to hear block out the noise because let me tell you something. I get what you guys are going through down there on the ground, boots on the ground, and how swamped they are and everything else. I've been in it for now, what, a month now. Okay, and I've been doing, you want to talk about talking to people that have the hard questions. I'm not the one to answer them. Okay, but if you want to draw more people down, you got to make people feel comfortable. I'm not talking me. You know, I can only talk, you know, until I'm blue in the fucking face. I can't convince anybody. But if I'm not like 100%, like I said, it's hard. You know, if this is going to go around to back to where it started, hey, hands down, you know I'm in. Okay, I just want to see I want to see the accountability as well. I mean, if you want me, and I'm an American body, I am an American person, okay? And I'm sitting on the back end exposed to what a lot of the Americans that they're just watching and joining have not seen, okay? That's all I'm saying. You know, I'm on damage control. I burnt myself down for 2.5 weeks on a goddamn freaking Facebook, trying to keep the peace and trying to keep it clean. How do you think it's up to 300,000 members or whatever the hell we're at now? Okay, there's other people, not just you guys.
Okay, so you say, and you and Daniel both say, a lot of Americans. You guys keep on saying that. We have 360 or 340 million people in this country. Are you guys hearing from 339 million people?
I'm saying all the Americans, like I said in the beginning, there's no reason why no one can stand up for what's going on now. It's freedom. And I'll tell you again, Jeremy, there's no reason to dance around the fact. If you're not going into DC, hey, I'm down with that. We're under a different regime. I know what's going to happen if you go in. Well, then you know what? Make your stand, stay parked up somewhere, and let the American people come and make you grow even stronger. But the fucking noise that's out there, wait, let me finish, and then I'll shut the fuck up. Okay. But you want to grow this movement. Okay. And you want more people to come down there. I'm down with that. Okay. Whoever wants to come, everybody in my whole fucking neighborhood should be down there. There's people that are uneducated and don't know. So I sit here and try and educate. All right. But the thing is, the reality of it is, okay, Facebook, Instagram, all social media. That's how word gets out now. People ain't listening to mainstream news. They're listening to alternative news to get the facts. When the alternative news and this shit goes out, all I'm saying is just have somebody make a fucking statement, clear their fucking minds to get more people that may be on the fence down there as well. I don't think I'm wrong with saying that. Okay, and I'll go back to, there was never a war won without casualties. This isn't going to be easy. And you know what? At some point, if you guys stick, there is going to be casualties. It's to be expected, but you need to build your army.
By casualties, she's talking about jail. And casualties, let's make that clear. She's talking
I
about
just think I think I just heard the
about
female
that.
version of
People
Chesty Puller.
When after I just explained that there was cops on every overpass basically saying you're not exiting. Okay, we get that, right? Secondly, we don't know what the back conversations are that they're having with politicians and everybody else. We don't know that.
We don't need to know as long as we know they're happening. That's it. Good enough for me.
I can tell you if you want to get to DC.
You guys are seriously wanting to. You think we're just going to walk into DC and it's going to end in 3 hours?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I said no. This is going to go. This is going to go a long time. This is not going to be settled overnight. It's not going to be settled in a week. All I want to know is, does our guys have the balls?
You guys are all screaming and upset. Then I don't get it.
You don't get it because you're not on the back end of it, Jeremy.
Zero patience. Like you guys want it done your way right now.
No, that's not what I'm saying, Jeremy. Not at all. It's the American way. It's the American people's way. It's every single one of us that have a...
No, it's not the American people way, because if it was the American people way, we'd have 339 million people down at that racetrack right now. You know how many we got down there now?
What caused the divide?
People. Those people that are telling you that this is a joke are the very fucking people that haven't been out of the goddamn racetrack. So fuck them.
Guys, we're getting back into this. He said, she said, and this whole screaming over each other. But we only got a couple minutes left that I can really keep doing this. I got about 8 minutes left. So, Jeremy Johnson,
I'll get off here.
Wait a minute. Don't take off yet. Don't take off on me yet. Okay. I want to give you a minute to give some closing remarks. What would you like to say to anybody that's willing to listen?
The only thing I'm going to say is, number one, thank you for letting me get on here and share my input, or whatever you want to call it. Brian Henson, I forgive you. Jeremy Raywald, I forgive you. Rose, I forgive you. Today, I don't know if I have to forgive anybody, but I'm just saying.
You have to forgive me.
You know what I am for the American people, and I'm for those people that I've heard that have stories that haven't seen their families for 2 years. That's why I stand, and that's why I will continue to stand. And I don't give a shit about the rest of the noise. If there's tomfoolery going on in the background, I'm not involved in it, and I don't give a shit. I don't care. I am here for me, and I'm here to stand for those people like I told them that I would. And that is the end of the story. John, thank you so much for letting me get on here.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming on, Jeremy. We appreciate you. Keep up the good work. Jeremy Raywald, would you do you have anything in closing you would like to say?
No, I I'm trying to stay quiet and not talk over everyone. I'll let everybody speak their mind. But I just really need to figure out what the end goal really is. And I don't have a problem supporting their message. And I even said at the beginning of this evening is that I like their message. I just don't like where it's going. And hopefully they can figure out what their end goal is, so the rest of us can join them there.
Very nice. Rose, do you have anything that you would like to close with?
Yeah, I'd like to close with, everybody's missing the point on the other end. saying that, oh, forget the noise, you're against us, whatever. I haven't been against anybody. I've stood alongside of all these guys. Okay. I want them. Shit happened in the beginning, shit happened in the middle. Okay. Be accountable. Accountability is key. What they're missing the point on is, oh, just come down, forget the noise. No, I'm sorry. Me personally, okay, if I'm going to go in on something, guess what? I'm going to be well educated on going in. I'm not just going to be hustled in for another body, okay? I want to stand for something. I will stand next to anyone that is totally committed to go the distance. I don't have a problem with that. I would go. Okay, but when I can't get answers and I keep getting thrown off with these half-ass fucking whatevers, I'm sorry, I can't. Am I down with the American people? Am I upgraded for freedom? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. But I'll go again and I'll say this one more time. Okay, to win any battle, you need an army, and I'm not talking as a battle. Okay, you need people, you need bodies. Okay. The distraction they caused in the beginning. Upright it. Let's move forward. Let's get down to it. Hold your line, okay, and be accountable. And you'd have me there. And you'd probably have half of the American, even more. Like he's discounting the American people. Oh, well, there's 306. Why ain't they down there? Guys, that's not my fault. It started out good. That's your guys' fault. The division wasn't caused by me on the back end. Okay, I've been screaming for accountability and trying to tell these guys, please make sure you know what you're doing. You trust us. You trust us. Well, guess what? Yeah, I do trust you to a point. But you know what? I'm a hard person. I don't trust anybody when it comes to me. You want me, my body down there? I want to know what the game plan is. I don't go into battle blind.
You do need to be there. Brian.
And boy, she's
Brian, what closing statements may you have?
Well, I would just like to say that, what I'm seeing is patriotic. But I'm like Jeremy Waywalt. And you got to understand the reason why I got out, because is what you're seeing right now. There is no end goal. In order to make that end goal, you need to go back on your original mission and your original statement and stand by it. Right now, as far as the noise, I understand that the noise is only going to get louder tomorrow and the next day and the next day. The American people still think these drivers are going to DC. Yes, I'm the original face that went viral. Yes. People are still contacting me. Yes. Do I make changes in my own state? Yes. Now, but I can't stand behind something that has had 5 goals changed 5 different ways. If you're going to do something, stand up like Canada did. They are still going strong. Their trucks have been removed out of impound, returned back home. Okay. That's not stuff that you're hearing on the mainstream media. If the original goal was like I was going to have, it would have been different. And I would have stayed by that message. Once you put a message out to the American people, you're going to do something. You've got to stand by that message or you will lose their trust forever. You've got one shot to get it right and one shot only. And that's what they're going to remember you by. But you need to stand your ground when you first put out your mission statement and you first tell everybody what you're going to do, and don't ever change it, period. Another thing, open those books up financially so the people of America can see what they're given to, see what organization they're given to, see where the money's going, and see where it's going for a cause. Because at the end of the day, it's going to the drivers and people there to do exactly what they put out in the beginning. That's why they are giving. But at the end, we're seeing this whole convoy at a racetrack, not in DC. So yes, people are asking questions. Yes, people are getting emotional. Yes, people are starting to second question it. And
you can't have that happen. So yes, there has to be some kind of damage control. Open it up, because right now what the people are seeing is they are honestly, yes, I know it's great down there. I am a patriot and I'm 100%, and I'm a conservative. I'm 100% behind what the people are seeing. They're seeing joy, but at the end of the day, they're not seeing what they were told they were going to do, and that's where the noise is, and that's the noise you've got to correct. And you've got to open these books up. You've got to give one message out, and you've got to stand behind the message that is strong and correct. It's kind of like Ukraine. You don't see their citizens running. You see their citizens going up and fighting for their country. It's like the truck drivers in Canada. What you're seeing is you're still seeing them fight for the rights of everyone there. And if you see their cultural divide there, the different cultures, let me say, the different cultures in Canada, there's a mass majority of people of all over the world in Canada, and they are united together. And they haven't left that goal from the very beginning. And what are we doing now? The goal has changed several times. You can't do that. So either the convoy steps up to the game, opens the books out, and do what their original goal was, to change something, and stand your ground and peacefully do it, or you don't do it at all. You lose everybody's trust. And there was a reason why I stepped out, because I saw this coming with the people that got involved, and I had nothing to do with it. So I backed out, and sometimes it takes a line to walk away from the den and go back to the den instead of stay out front and just watch all this noise. And that's where I stand today. But if the message stayed the same, I possibly would have still been involved. I possibly would have still been involved if it was done correctly in the beginning.
All right. Sean, are you there?
Well, I brought up an issue tonight with me about Rick DeSantis and the bill he was trying to pass. And although I admit it's very commendable that he's standing up for people in North Dakota and Canada, you've got to be well informed. And you've got to start looking at what politicians are trying to help you, and very politely, without bombarding their ass like they did Babbitt and Jordan, you got to let them know you support them. If you're not going to do that, it's another deal waiting to happen. As far as the People's Convoy, hey, y'all down there doing your thing, congratulations. I hope it all works out for you. All I could say in final is tonight, emotions are what started a lot of things on this show tonight. Emotions I didn't expect, and I don't think we've had that on this show before. But if you're going to call and start ranting and raving about social media, well, right there's your first mistake, because all they do is just keep the hype going, and that's what they're after to do. I mean, come on, let's stop and face facts. I read the National Enquirer one time. Kid you not. J.F. Caden was seen at the Teamster Resort Center with Jimmy Hoffa pushing Elvis, and Elvis was pushing him around in a wheelchair. Now, don't think that makes some good conversational talk, but yet, though, people buy into it. Trust your eyes, trust what you see, and get the hell away from social media. That's all I got.
Well, there is an old saying, don't believe anything you hear and only half of what you see, because things aren't always what you think they are. We've heard a lot of different varying viewpoints tonight, and the thing of it is you got to figure out what it is you want. You got to figure out what it is you want to be involved into, and follow your heart. And if you're not willing to go to DC, but you really want to participate, there are other means that you can participate. You can create your own groups. You can write letters to Congress. I strongly recommend writing letters to Congress in support of this. If you can't go down there, if you can do both, that'd be wonderful. It's imperative to.
Well,
Hold on now.
Go ahead.
So the point is that it's imperative that we get a course of action going on here in the United States of America. Yes, we've seen a lot of things. We've had a lot of struggles through the years. To the blessings of our former president Donald Trump, he's shook that tree down in D.C. and we've seen where the monkeys have fallen out. We've seen where they've landed. They've exposed themselves, and now they're trying to use force by legal channels, by legal means. They're twisting things, they're manipulating things to the point that people are scared to go into D.C. And the fact that the people are scared to go into D.C. is all the more reason to stand up for your rights and your freedoms, because they are being infringed upon. They're using fear-based leadership to scare you where you don't even want to exercise your constitutional rights to peaceably assemble, your constitutional rights to have your voice heard. That within itself is a reason to stand. And if you can't stand for anything, you're useless in the United States of America. You don't deserve your rights. You don't deserve your freedoms. Benjamin Franklin was right.
Hallelujah.
Those who choose security over freedoms deserve neither, and you will get none. I would be willing to go to DC. I would be willing to take a group of people to DC. I had a plan last year to do such. We can make our voices heard in DC where nobody can avoid us. And it can be very simple. It can be very easy with a small group of people. But you got to be willing to stand, folks. You got to be willing to organize, and you got to be willing to get involved in some regard or another. Whether you believe in this fight or you don't believe in this fight is irrelevant. You got to believe in something at some point in time. You got to be willing to take action at some point in time. Somebody made a stand right now. And I would suggest people get behind it and stand up with it, regardless if you agree with Brian, you agree with Jeremy or Jeremy Johnson, or no matter who you agree with, stand up somewhere. Stand up for yourself. Write the letters. Get involved. Make the phone calls. Phone calls are more powerful than letters in D.C. Swamp their phone lines. Make it so nobody else can get in there. Keep calling and let them know how you feel. You'd be surprised how reasonable members of Congress can be. Send them to the way of the delegation that this group has created so they can converse with them. I think that they have the right idea. I think at least they're going for one thing. I think it should have been a list of things myself, but that's my personal belief, and that's my personal feelings. You should always have contingencies. You should have more to your list than that. But I'm not the one in charge of this. I'm not the one running this. Mike and Brian Brzee are running this, and as long as they are, I think they need our support, and I'm willing to give it to them, and I hope you are too. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close out the show tonight. I want to, unless Sean, you said you were wanting to say something. Would you have one last comment?
Yeah, all I could say is that when I said I'd go to Washington, I just planned on knocking on one door.
Would that be Bob?
That would be Mike Braun.
Mike Braun's quite a character. He's a good senator.
And since we're closing out the show, don't forget Wednesday nights, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, John will be on the big radio, WSM, with the Common Sense Conservative, along with Chris Wyatt and Todd McKinley.
In fact,
John, do we have anything planned for next Sunday yet?
We do have a guest coming out. I don't recall his name at the moment, but Chris Wyatt is in Hagerstown tonight with the truck drivers. My co-host from our Wednesday night show did go visit. He sent me a photo earlier during the show where he was visiting with Lisa and Lee Schmidt.
Hey, John.
I bet that's pretty cool.
Actually, it is. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close her out. So I want to thank everybody for participating tonight. I appreciate you guys. If you want to come on again sometime, we can have another show and create some more discussion in these regards. With that being said, y'all have a good night, and we'll talk to you some more later.
Thank you.
Bye.